Chris, thank you very much. And this is Tampa Stadium. We'll have a crowd of about 40,000 tonight, and that's a reflection of the home team's record to watch an NFC Central matchup between the Minnesota Vikings and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Good evening, everybody. I'm Mike Patrick, and it's great to have you with us tonight. Jerry Burns had said all year that he was 99% sure that this would be his final season. Now he's 100% sure. And that decision comes on the heels of 2 straight disappointing seasons for the Vikings. After all, it is a team with a wealth of individual talent that has not lived up to expectations.
We're all very disappointed on how things have been going for the last couple of years. We feel that the best years of our lives are slipping away from us in the sense of the business. And it's just, it's hard. It's hard.
At 6-7, the Vikings can still make the playoffs and salvage something out of this season. But even if they do, there's going to be dramatic changes on this team, isn't there?
Oh, there's no question, Mike. There has to be changes. The first one came about this week when Jerry Burns is going to be replaced, announced his retirement as coach. And, this has been a team of a lot of individual stars, but they have not been able to put it together and win the big ones. But those individual stars now are going to provide a nucleus, because this team's going to get broken up. There's no question about it. They're going to take the stars, they're going to trade them away because they don't have a 1, they don't have a 2, they don't have a 3 this year. So basically what they're going to look for is that star power to bring back some stability and a long-range program to the Minnesota Vikings.
For the Buccaneers, for the 9th year in a row, they have lost at least 10 games. At least 10 games. And that is a monument to futility for this franchise. 5 years ago, they thought they had found the cornerstone for the foundation to rebuild when they got the #1 pick in the entire draft in the NFL and took Heisman Trophy winner Vinny Testaverde. Now his future is in doubt.
I'm really confused right now. It's towards the end of the season. I'm looking at these last 3 games just to try and improve as a player, as a quarterback. And after the season is over, I'm going to reevaluate everything and see what's going to be best for me. I think it's about time I look out for my best interests and not worry as much about the team.
Coming out of college, Vinny was labeled as the savior for this franchise, and that's a terrible burden for anybody to have to carry.
It has. Mike, the thing about Vinny's situation is Vinny hasn't been good for Tampa Bay, and really Tampa Bay has not been good for Vinny. Here's a guy in 60 games who has thrown 93 interceptions. Now, if those numbers aren't bad enough, take into consideration he's been sacked 161 times. And he's a 5-year veteran, but he's 3rd in seniority on this football team. It sort of makes you wonder, can Vinny ever win in Tampa Bay, or can Tampa Bay ever really win with Vinny?
And will Richard Williamson be here next year? He's finishing his first full season as the Bucs head coach. He's had to live with that rampant speculation that he won't be back all year. No more speculation at all, of course, about Jerry Burns. This is the farewell tour. He first joined the organization in 1968 as the offensive coordinator. Teams, of course, met earlier in the season. And Minnesota, a winner, 28-13. The Vikings took the ball away 5 times and had 2 sacks in the ballgame. Tampa will get it first. That's Fuad Reveiz, set to kick from the 35. Gary Anderson is the center deep man. 6 yards deep in the end zone, and they'll start from there. Now let's take a look at the McLean Deluxe starting lineups. For Vinny Testaverde, it's been a struggle again. He is the lowest rated quarterback on the NFL list and only 5 touchdowns with 12 interceptions. Lawrence Dawsey has emerged as a Rookie of the Year candidate, coming off his best game, 2, 8 catches, 100 yards against the Dolphins. The line showing signs of improvement. Former #1 pick Paul Gruber is the model of durability. He has not missed a down in 4 years. Cobb and Wilson, the split backs behind Testaverde. Throws on first down. Dawsey can't hold it, and Reggie Rutland on the coverage. Henry Thomas has moved into Keith Millard's spot in the defensive line. He has 8 sacks. That's nearly 1/3 of the team's total. Mike Merriweather's great practice habits still pay off for him. He leads the team in tackles, in on 155 stops. And Joey Browner returns to the starting lineup tonight after being in Jerry Burns' doghouse In 1991, he has not played up to his all-pro status, in part because he's been hurt. Testaverde in the flat has Cobb, his tailback, and Cobb has the first down out to the 38-yard line. Ball came loose, and the official now signals Tampa Bay ball. Johnny Williams on the coverage out there.
There's a good job by Vinny Testaverde setting in the pocket and really taking what the Minnesota Viking defense is going to give him. Drops back, looks to his right, left side of your screen, finds Cobb out in the flat. Does a nice job. Use the sidelines, cut back in. Going to be interesting.
And it looks like they'll get the play off before any kind of review. Nope, they won't. Nice try, though.
That was close. You know, I'm a big proponent of getting up to the line of scrimmage. If there's a fumble, just get up and run a play and go with it. They're going to take a look at it. Push the 25-second clock back up. What had happened is the 25-second clock got away.
And that's the stoppage in play, not a review.
Obviously, they didn't see anything that was worth looking at. We disagree, but what else is new?
Here's Cobb. Slips out to the 40-yard line. When Ray Perkins was here, he drafted him and made him a fullback. Didn't work. Cobb, a natural tailback, and delighted to be back at that spot.
Told me he couldn't see from the fullback positions, like he was blind back there.
Take a look at that last play again.
Okay. There it is. Now watch. The ball's going to... Before he hits the ground, the ball is out right now. Now, that's a fumble, and that's why instant replay is so valuable to us.
Oh. Going to start in the first minute of the first half. Here's Cobb, a gaping hole up the middle across the 50 into Viking territory at the 48. Joey Browner and Ray Berry along with Felix Wright tripped him up, but it's a gain of 12.
That's really an important thing for the Tampa Bay offense, to get the running game started. And what they want to do, knowing that Henry Thomas, who is usually a nose tackle, is playing where Keith Millard plays, they want to try and match up in the middle. He's only at 270, and you got Tom McHale at one guard at 280, and you got Ian Bechtel at 295 on the other, and of course Tony Mayberry at 285. You can get a push up the middle.
They are 18th in the league, as you saw, but the Vikings are not very good at all at stopping the run. Play action this time. Blitz coming. Testaverde with time. Throws complete and loose. Carrier couldn't hold it. Now they rule it incomplete at the 34.
You know, Vinny Testaverde has taken a lot of heat. And when you only throw 5 touchdown passes and you have 12 interceptions, okay, you take some heat. But these are catches that receivers have to help you out with. Mark Carrier has not had a good year. He's got to make this catch. His feet don't get on the ground. The ball is out. It's obviously an incompletion. But you got a 1st and 10 down around the 35-yard line. This is where wide receivers have to help the quarterback out.
Carrier went to the Pro Bowl after the '89 season, but has not had a good year since then. Second and 10, 4-man rush. Dump it over the middle, complete. Down to the 40-yard line, and struggling is Dawsey down to the 36. The rookie out of Florida State. Richard Williamson said, I wish I had all of them playing at his level. Well, what are they going to find for them?
You know, it was interesting. When I had a chance to visit with him on Friday, the one thing he told me, I said, what's the best thing you do? He said, the best thing I do is compete. That's what he does. But look at this. Look at the pass protection that Gruber is giving Vinny Testaverde. Chris Dolman's one of the best in the business. Now, he makes the reception. For all intent and purposes, he stopped. But wait a second. He's going to break out of that hold and pick up 5 more yards.
Tried to strip the ball from him. Here's Cobb trying to get outside, and Carl Lee waiting for him. Took him out at the 35 as Jimmy Williams strung out the play. Minnesota misses Keith Millard so badly. I mean, he is such a wonderful lineman.
Mike, you said it absolutely right when you said Minnesota. Keith Millard's a defensive tackle, so automatically you think, oh, well, it's just the defensive guy. Guys like Carl Lee are trying to pick up for him, but the entire football team misses Keith Millard.
Monty Kiffin, the defensive coordinator.
Took over for Floyd Peters, who's on the other side of the field. Now the defensive coordinator of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
2nd and 8 for the Bucs. Comes the blitz. They pick it up, and Testaverde underthrows that one badly. He had Carrier out there covered by Carl Lee and just sort of floated him inside both of them.
I think, Mike, if there is going to be a key to this football game for Tampa Bay's offense, it is going to be their wide receivers having the ability to beat the one-on-one press in-your-face coverage by the Minnesota corners. That time, Carl Lee did an excellent job on Carrier. And so it's 1 Minnesota, 0 Tampa Bay.
3rd and long. What kind of a chance do the Bucs have in this situation? They are last in the conference. They've converted only 18% this year. Testaverde chased out of the pocket. And chased out of bounds at the 35. John Randall, the second-year man out of Texas A&I, put the pressure on, and Randall with 8 sacks this year.
Good job by that front 4. They just rushed 4. That's what these guys are for. Chris Dolman forcing them up inside. Henry Thomas making them run. John Randall, who got his starting job back from Al Noga, runs him out of bounds.
And instead of going for a 53-yard field goal attempt, they have Mark Royals on to punt. And Leo Lewis is waiting at the 10-yard line. Pretty high kick. Fair catch made just outside the 10-yard line. A punt of only 26, but Royals did his job and pins the Vikings back at the 10. If you just joined us, the Buccaneers have had 1 possession. Minnesota has its hands on the ball for the first time, starting just outside its own 10-yard line. Terry Allen, the single setback, and Herschel Walker goes out as a flanker. Allen turns the corner for about 5. Rich Gannon leads the Viking offense. He's having a pretty good year. He's ranked 5th in the conference, 10 TDs, only 5 interceptions. The rushing attack has emerged as number 1 in the NFC. And Herschel Walker is having his best year as a Viking, 6th in the conference, 667 yards. Randall McDaniel, the all-star of the Viking line, a first-round pick in '88. Their last. McDaniel has been to the last 2 Pro Bowls. Gain of 5 on the last play. Anderson and Vinny check in at running back. That's Terry Allen, Allen out to the 18-yard line. There's a flag down on the play. Marty Carter came up from free safety spot to make the tackle.
On the tackle, 5-yard face mask against the defense.
Take a look at the Buccaneers defense. It's certainly improved under Floyd Peters. Keith McCant's move from linebacker to defensive end a la Chris Dolman has helped in that scheme. Broderick Thomas is a force at linebacker, number 1 on the team in tackles and sacks with a career-high 8. The secondary very young, but 5-year man Ricky Reynolds is a steadying influence at the left corner. They released their only Pro Bowl player last year, Wayne Haddock, who had played right corner for them. Gannon looks deep near sideline, intended for Carter. He made the catch, and a flag is down. Would have been interference anyway. He beat Reynolds and made a fine over-the-shoulder catch for 40 yards.
That's an excellent throw by Richie Gannon, too.
Now, was it offensive or defensive?
Pass interference, number 29 of the defense. A penalty is declined. Completed pass. First down.
Ricky Reynolds trying to do a good job staying close. Wasn't quite able to get on top of him. See the move outside. Never really gets his hands on him, so it's difficult to make a play. Carter does an excellent job. He's become the big play man for the Minnesota Vikings.
Had a catch of 46 earlier this year, but was saying last night, we just don't throw the ball long anymore. That time they did and hit it. End around. And another flag comes down as Carter got down to the 27-yard line. Chris Carter having an outstanding year. Keith McCants made the tackle, and the preliminary signal is a hold.
Holding number 83 of the offense, 10 yards, still first down.
Veteran tight end Steve Jordan charged with holding.
Left side of your screen, number 83. There he is, hanging on. You got to let go sooner or later. When you get the hand on the back and it's grabbing something, usually they're going to call.
Penalty will make it 1st and 20. Just outside the Buccaneer 45-yard line. Keep in mind, Minnesota is still alive in the playoff picture. They need a win tonight to go to 500. Allen and Walker are the backs. Walker split out. Gannon wants the screen to Allen and threw it behind him. Really interesting talking to Terry Gannon last night. Or, excuse me, Rich Gannon. I'm thinking of North Carolina State basketball player. Richie...
well, you'll be doing those games.
That's right, soon, next month. He is such a competitive young man and such a good quarterback. Here's a guy drafted by New England. They wanted him to play either running back, receiver, defensive back, anything but quarterback. He says, no, no, I am a quarterback and that's it. And finally forced to trade, and now he has his chance. And there's Wade Wilson.
Right, who he replaced quite a few games ago.
Four-man rush. And Gannon overthrows Chris Carter.
Now, we talked about the good job that Minnesota's front four was putting on Testaverde. The same thing applies here. And the reason why we can almost talk about these two defenses as mirrors, Floyd Peters was the defensive coordinator for 4 years with the Minnesota Vikings, had the #1 defense in the league for 2 of those years. Monty Kiffin, who's now the defensive coordinator, there's Floyd, who's the defensive coordinator now of the Buccaneers, and Kiffin on the other side work together in Minnesota. I mean, they're both under defenses. They both play with 4 down linemen.
3rd and 20 now for Minnesota. Darren Nelson, number 20, is checked in. Gannon can run. Got to the 33, forced out of bounds there. And got them back into long field goal range at least.
That's the one dimension that I think Gannon really adds to this offense that Wade Wilson is not able to do. Wade can move around, but when Richie takes off, you have to qualify him as a running back. He just sees the hole, now he's off and gone. Tucks the ball away, runs like a halfback. Thinks like a quarterback, gets out of bounds.
Jerry Burns says he's got a lot of guts, got a lot of Tommy Kramer in him. Reveiz, only 1 out of 10 in his career from this distance. This year he has hit from 49, however. Got it. Fuad Reveiz puts the Minnesota Vikings on top on the road at Tampa Bay. 3-0 Minnesota, 7:58 to go first quarter of play. Take a look at that last scoring drive. The first time the Vikings touched the ball. They go 56 yards, and Fuad Reveiz with a fine 50-yard field goal to finish it off and make it 3-0. First time he has kicked one that long since 1986 when he was a Dolphin. It was nice warm air that did it.
Yeah, balmy. He likes the balmy air. This is the best field in the National Football League here in Tampa Stadium.
Reveiz to kick. Gary Anderson, the deep man. First time he forced him 6 yards deep into the end zone. A yard deep this time, and Anderson will bring it out. Got it out to the 22, 23-yard line. Testaverde will come out for his second series. Now take a look. These were all #1 picks in the draft, and you would think that with 60 touchdowns and 93 interceptions, he would be far worse than any of these guys had done in their first 5 years. But look at Bradshaw. He's even with terror.
And when you take a look at these teams, Elway has stayed in Denver. Bartkowski was with Atlanta. Bradshaw was with Pittsburgh. And Testaverde maybe not be with Tampa Bay.
But they stayed and became great quarterbacks, and those numbers changed dramatically. Cobb with Wilson in front of him. He'll pick up a couple.
I think the big key there, though, Michael, is that those football teams started to build around their quarterback. Vinny, this now, again, in his 5th year, he's 3rd in seniority on the football team, and this is the youngest offensive line. Probably it is the youngest team in the National Football League. They've had 23 players on this football team that are either in their 1st or 2nd year. You can't constantly have that kind of young turnover and expect your quarterback to develop.
They haven't rebuilt anything. They just keep changing parts. Four-man rush, good protection. Deep sideline and out of bounds. Dawsey got a hand on it, but couldn't come down in bounds. Testaverde labeled defranchised by a lot of people when he was drafted. Here's what he had to say about wearing that label.
Well, I don't think any one guy can come in this league and turn things around immediately, especially the team that I had come in here with. You know, the year before they were 2-14, you know, and they weren't a very good football team. We have gotten better over the past 5 years, but when I first got here, we weren't a very good football team, and I don't see how any one person could have come in and saved the team like they were saying at the time.
3rd and 9. Double pump. Dawsey with a catch, stayed on his feet. Browner brings him down at the Vikings 47-yard line. He had 8 catches and 100 yards a week ago. He's a Rookie of the Year candidate along with Leonard Russell of New England and the Redskins' Ricky Irvins, and he has meant a world of difference to Testaverde.
Oh, he really has. He's making clutch catches. This is what Vinny Testaverde throws best. They're called seam passes, right down the hash mark. He sets, double pumps a little, but gets it up and hangs. This is when you have confidence. That's when you have confidence in a receiver. Guys go up and make catches like that. You start looking for them. You just want to get them the football.
Reggie Rutland with a big shot but couldn't shake it loose, and Dawsey 2 catches, 41 yards already. Play action. Screen, Cobb, blockers in front. Nice move to set up the block, and Cobb to the 30. A gain of 17.
Mike, you never played the game, but I want to ask you something. Do you get the feeling that Tampa Bay now is in some semblance of a rhythm?
I think I was just going to say the same thing. Testaverde drops back, except for that little double clutch. Everything he has done has been on time and in rhythm.
It has to do with getting into the huddle, making good play selection. You get them rushing a little bit. You think about the run first. You hit the seam. You throw the screen. You mix it up. You're in and out of the huddle. Now you're starting to get a little rhythm.
1st and 10 Bucks at the Vikings 30. Nice fake by Testaverde. Maybe ill-advised and nearly picked off by Reggie Rutland. Threw into double coverage intended for Mark Carrier. I believe you are of the same opinion as I am, and I asked you about this earlier. I think Testaverde still has a chance to be an excellent quarterback in this league. I thought he would be one long before now, but I understand the circumstances.
I think Vinny Testaverde has got all the tools to be one of the better quarterbacks in National Football League. He's just now starting to get seasoned with 5 years of experience, but he has to get some stability around him on the team as well as in a coaching staff.
2nd and 10. Anderson checks into the backfield and goes out as a flanker. Back over the middle is tight end Hall. Has it down to the 22-yard line, a couple of yards short of a first down. Henry Thomas dropping off the line of scrimmage makes the tackle.
Ron Hall, only 28 receptions for 245 yards. Big Henry Thomas, tank. That's tough. You know, when we talked to the Vikings last night, we talked about the fact that what has happened on that front line. The one guy that really misses Keith Millard more than anybody is Chris Dolman, because there was a tandem. Keith was a crazy man, and Chris could just sort of get his sacks. Now he's struggling.
3rd and 2. Wilson slipped as he tried to make his cut inside, and he'll be short. Let me argue with you a second. I think the guy that misses Keith Millard the most is Jerry Burns.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. Little draw play coming at you. Quarterback back in the shotgun. They try and kick out. Alnoga does a nice job of forcing it outside. Carly makes the tackle for a 2-yard loss.
That's only Wilson's second carry in the last 4 games.
Well, he wasn't brought here to do that. He's the battery man.
That's right.
He's the guy that's supposed to open the hole.
Steve Christie, 13 out of 18 this year, will try from 40. Would have been good from 50 plus. Steve Christie with a 40-yard field goal, and we have a 3-3 tie in Tampa. First quarter tie in Tampa, Florida, 3-3, the Vikings and the Buccaneers, and Hugh Culverhouse, the longtime owner of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And it has been a struggle for this franchise. The Bears, the Packers, the Cardinals, and the New York Giants are the 4 oldest franchises in the NFL. That's how many bad seasons they have had with 10 losses or more. The Buccaneers have done it in a mere 16 years.
I know.
It's incredible.
Only 3 years they've had less than 10 losses. I mean, that's absolutely amazing. Richard Williamson, the head coach. You know, there's talk about, of course, there's been speculation about him being out of here since the beginning, and I think it's a bum rap. I mean, they've changed Tampa's football team. You got to give a guy a chance.
Since the day he got the job, there's been speculation. And you can't turn anything around in 1 year, and that's what he's had. Herschel touches the ball for the first time and picks up 3.
Herschel Walker
McCants with a stop.
Herschel Walker going to be a free agent at the end of this year. Saw him having breakfast with his agent this morning. I wonder what they were talking about.
Well, his agent has told the Vikings he will not be back.
And they're going to be on the free agent market. There's a defensive line. Now, when we talk about over and under defenses, 83 is the tight end, Steve Jordan. And that means that 3 defensive linemen are shifted towards his side. That terminology means it's an over defense, over towards the tight end.
2nd and 7, Terry Allen is in at the tailback spot. Allen in the flat takes it from Gannon. Nice move to pick up some extra yardage and very close to a first down.
Nice job by Kevin Murphy, number 59, who made the tackle. That was a case where a guy used the sidelines as his other tackler. He wouldn't let Allen cut back. He let him pick up his yardage, but he didn't give him the big play cutting back into the middle of the field.
It is a first down. Terry Allen and Vinny are in there together. Allen had his only 100-yard game of his career in the first meeting against Tampa Bay. Gannon slips under pressure from behind, and he's sacked by Dexter Manley. The longtime Washington Redskin and former Phoenix Cardinal came in here saying Ray who? Ray Seals was the starting defensive end. He said Ray who? He couldn't beat him out. He didn't get the job until Ray Seals got hurt.
Well, what happens here is this is relentless, though. Dexter doesn't stop. Richie Gannon really helped sack himself by falling down, but Dexter keeps up the pursuit. Now, the thing about it is because of his age and because of the years, and he's played 11 years, it's the second half that he'll start to wane a little bit, not have as much pop in the leg. So they have to pace him a little bit. Make the big play, rest a little, make the big play.
That's 6.5 sacks for Dexter. Carter gets back to the 32-yard line. Looked like they were trying to run the end around, and then they threw it to him. Tony Covington, the rookie safety out of Virginia, made the tackle.
I've always believed that unless Anthony Carter touches the ball anywhere between 12 and 15 times for the Minnesota Vikings on offense, I don't think that their offense is going to put many points on the board. Now, because of this new one-back offense that Tom Moore, their offensive coordinator, has put in, they don't throw the ball as deep quite as much. And Chris Carter's become the underneath guy. And AC has not had the big numbers, but you still got to try and get Anthony Carter the ball.
3rd and 12. Darren Nelson, the single set back behind Gannon, who's changing the play. Buccaneers come with a 3-man rush. Look at Gannon stay alive back there, and then throws incomplete on the big hit. Buccaneers defense did beautifully. Gannon couldn't find anybody to throw to. Finally saw Anthony Carter. being chased by Newton, and then he was sandwiched by Covington and Jesse Solomon, the former Viking.
Good job by that Bucs defense. He's got him open, but the thing is he's sliding away. Tries to get the ball to AC, but boy, oh boy, look at this one. This is a sandwich job. Hello, hello. Number 25, Tony Covington, the rookie out of Virginia. Only 190 pounds, but he hit him with 195.
Newsom leading the league in punting, kicking to Willie Drury. Drury knocked back by his own man, and will lose a couple. A 4-yard loss after a punt of 42. Rick Fenny down on special teams made the tackle. Every Sunday, we bring you Game Day at noon. Chris Berman, Tom Jackson, Joe Theismann, and Chris Mortensen filling you in on everything that will happen during the afternoon. And then at 7 o'clock, NFL primetime highlights of every game. And then at 8 o'clock, Joe and I will be at the Hoosier Dome for the Buffalo Bills and the Indianapolis Colts. And boy, did Buffalo show its stuff today. What a great comeback they made.
Unbelievable. You sort of know when destiny's on your side a little bit, when the ball bounces your way, when you can make plays like they did today. Raiders are an excellent football team, playing real well. That's only Art Shell's 4th loss at home since he took over.
Screen to Cobb, and he dropped it. Williams had really figured it out and was out there, but trying to fight off 3 blockers, and Cobb simply couldn't hold the ball.
They had it set up. They had success with it in their last drive. They figured they'll come back with it. The Minnesota Vikings front 4, that's what they're schooled to do, is to pass rush. Richard Williamson figuring what's a good way to get Vinny started? Throw a screen pass. Well, he's not getting much help. Carrier's dropped 1. Now Cobb has dropped 1. If they drop 6 or 7 through the course of this game, it's going to be tough for the Bucs to win.
Drop balls hurt him in the first game against Minnesota. 2nd and 10. Testaverde backing out of trouble and throws intended for Carrier, but well overthrown.
The fans automatically boo when a quarterback does that. But I'll tell you, he didn't take a sack. He didn't throw an interception. Those are 2 bad things. All he did was throw an incompletion. Excellent protection. 2 men on Dolman. Gets a lot of respect. And he doesn't have anybody open. He throws the ball out of bounds. It's 3rd and 10. That's the way you stay in a game. It's a 3-3 game. 22 seconds left in the first quarter.
He says, I still have the chance to be the kind of pro quarterback that
I agree with you.
I do too.
I believe he can be.
3rd and 10. Blitz. They don't get there, and Drury got a little bump down there from Reggie Rutland and couldn't run under it.
Well, you got to really pat the offensive lineman on the back. They're doing an excellent job. Here comes McMillan off the corner. Vinny hangs in. Robert Wilson comes over just enough to get a flipper on him. This one's hung up in the air. Drury can't quite reach it.
This team has given up a league-high 51 sacks this year, but tonight, the line has done a good job. Royals to kick. And Leo Lewis, who holds all the kick return records for the Vikings, lets it go. And down at the 39-yard line. A 37-yard punt, no return. We showed you how bad the Buccaneers had been as far as their record. The flip side of that is you get to draft very high in the draft, but look what they have done with it. They have squandered very tremendous opportunity and not come up with players.
Well, when you look at people like Hugh Green and Sean Farrell and Bo Jackson, who would know that he was going to go? He never signed. Of course, Vinny signed. Gruber. See, since '87, they've got the nucleus now of what I think is a good young football team. They have to keep it, and they have to develop it from this stage on.
Walker and Anderson in the eye, where Herschel has always been the most comfortable, and they play action to it. Gannon throws too high, and a flag is down. Reynolds and Carter bumping each other.
This one's going to be interesting because they were both going at it. I mean, this could go either way. It could go to offense. You know, in this particular play, the way you have to interpret defensive pass interference is if a defensive player has established position and the offensive player...
pass interference, number 80, 10 yards, still first down.
And the offensive player runs into that area where he is, the defensive guy is entitled to his space. See, Reynolds establishes position, and Carter just pushes with his left hand. That's a good call by the official. It was him. I'm telling you, it was him. He was pushing me. Chris, a great politician. Didn't work that time.
If we showed you those draft picks, Tampa Bay does not have one next year because they traded for Chris Chandler and then... One man to beat. Touchdown, Herschel Walker. 71 yards.
Talked to Tom Moore, the offensive coordinator of the Minnesota Vikings. I said, is Herschel better on grass or is he better on turf? He said he's a much better back on grass. Little quick trap up the middle. The Bucs have got everybody at the line of scrimmage. Broderick Thomas can't quite make the play.
And look
Thomas
at the
had
speed.
him 3 yards, and then he turns it on.
He can still run.
There's a man that has so many irons in the fire, you just wonder if he could just concentrate on football instead of bobsledding, real estate, and goodness knows what else.
Claude Reves with the point after. And Minnesota has jumped on top 10-3, and that is the end of the first quarter from Tampa. Mike Patrick, Joe Theismann back with you in Tampa, Florida. What direction are the Minnesota Vikings going to take now that Jerry Burns is no longer going to be the head coach?
Well, I think, first of all, they're looking for somebody that's got to bring a winning tradition. They have to bring somebody in who the fans can identify and get behind. They need a marquee name. That's
High
the first
profile.
thing. High-profile individual. Also, I think that Roger Hedrick, who is the president and CEO of the ball club, has said what they're going to have to do is probably dismantle a part of this football team to go out and get some of the draft choices. I mean, Burnsy has not really had a 1 or 2 to work with over the last 2 years. And coming up this next year, they don't have a 1, 2, and 3. Compliments of Mike Lynn in his trade for Herschel Walker. Now, granted, a 71-yard touchdown run is great. I don't know if it's worth 11 players.
I still contend if they gave the ball to Herschel Walker in the eye and gave it to him 250 times a year, he gets 1,000 yards. The question is, do you want to do that? Is the rest of your team suited to it? Jerry Burns said his line was never suited to running out of the eye.
They really weren't. What they are is they're a quick-fire type line, quick-passing type line, and it's tough to change 5 people just to accommodate 1.
Gary Anderson at the goal line. Tries to split 2 defenders and can't do it. Gets out to the 17-yard line. Whoever the new coach is going to be, here's what he's going to have to deal with. They have not had first-round picks, 89, 90, or 91. No second rounds in 90 or 91. Next year, no first, second, or third. First and second rounds are where you pick up impact player. Third round where you pick up a good player. After that, you're just filling in places.
You can't start this football team. And of course, Roger Hedrick, the Vikings president and CEO. You can't start building a football franchise with a new coach with a 4th-round pick as your first pick.
Gary Anderson will have a turn at tailback. Got by Browner out to about the 22-yard line. And that is something that has plagued Joey Browner this year, missed tackles. One of the reasons that he did not start a couple of games. He did have a pinched nerve in his shoulder, still does and will for the rest of the year. But Joey Browner really popped off when he was benched. He accused some of his other teammates of not playing up to their Pro Bowl status. And I think he would have liked Jerry Burns to handle it a little differently, and I think Jerry Burns would have liked to have him handle it differently.
I'll tell you something, though. The way Jerry Burns handled it, when he benched Joey Browner, it sent a message to everybody else who thinks they're stars on this football team that nobody is going to escape, I'm not going to put up with anything. Anybody could get benched, so everybody better play hard.
Anderson with that slashing style up to about the 23. Of course, the reason there are no picks for the Minnesota Vikings is because of that enormous trade for Herschel Walker. That's not a bad average for tonight. 37 shot.
in Herschel's defense, he's received a lot of criticism, a lot of flack, but he comes in his first game, he has over 100 yards, he lights things up, and all of a sudden everybody says that was why the deal was made. This is this is Herschel Walker. The guy's a good football player, but no one man is going to carry a football team. Herschel Walker became what Vinny Testaverde is in Tampa Bay. He became the savior and the Super Bowl missing ingredient in Minnesota, and it just didn't happen, and it wasn't going to happen.
To me, he was a square peg in a round hole, and it has not worked, and it probably won't. Testaverde trying to scramble, got out to the 25-yard line, covered by Merriweather there. And the Bucks a yard shy. They'll have to kick it away. And the crowd on its feet booing a little bit. You can understand how these people would boo at just about anything after their years of utter frustration.
The frustration that they have felt here in Tampa Bay. They've had 3 successful over 500 years, 13 below it.
And the losing seasons have not just been losing seasons. They've been disastrous.
They've been double digits. I mean, it's not like you go 9-7.
Royals to kick to Leo Lewis. Low line drive, returnable kick, but Lewis got it on the first hop. And taken down at the 42. Good hustle by Wilson to get downfield to make the stop on special teams. Return of 4 after a 37-yard punt. Vikings lead it 10-3, 12:21 to go first half. Glad you could join us on ESPN. Mike Patrick, Joe Theismann, our entire crew with you from Tampa, Florida. Walker and Vinny in the Viking backfield. Herschel. Almost broke another one, this one near midfield. This is the #1 rushing offense in the NFC. They are 4th in the National Football League, and that stat jumped up and surprised a lot of people.
Well, they've got some great backs. They have a diversity of them. There's Keith McCants trying to stop Herschel. Gary Zimmerman gets into him. McCants has been moved from linebacker to down lineman. And that is just, it's the same thing that Floyd did with Chris Dolman. And McCants has not taken to it. As a matter of fact, he just flat doesn't like it.
Herschel on the trap. He'll get a couple. You said McCants did not like the change, but that is Floyd Peters' defense. It's something that's been successful wherever he's gone, and I think the change has helped the defense.
Well, and it's the thing that he has to understand. He's young. See, he's competing against Broderick Thomas. These guys got a little thing going. And Broderick is a linebacker, and Keith is a down lineman. And really, if they both come together, Floyd's going to get what he wants. He's going to get pressure defense. And the other thing is Keith wants to be more like Chris Dolman, move around the defensive line, or like a Bruce Smith, play in different places. But he's going to have to do his time. He's going to have to learn the position here.
3rd and a yard. Herschel, first down to the 46-yard line. Joe, it was funny last night talking to the Viking players about Floyd Peters because they said, boy, he could get on your nerves. There were days where we really just hated his guts. We really miss him.
The one word that kept coming up when the Minnesota Vikings talked about Floyd Peters said, he can be abrasive, but we had a lot of respect for him. And that's not to say that they don't respect Monty Kiffin, but the thing is they, Floyd brought them along. He taught Chris Dolman how to be a linebacker. He'd get in his face and take him on, and was big enough to back it up if he wanted to say anything.
Sure was. First down, play action, Gannon. Anthony Carter. He left Carl Carter sitting on his posterior and picked up another 3 yards. Broderick Thomas finally got him. 74,000-seat Tampa Stadium, about 40,000 on hand here tonight. About as good as you could expect for 2-11. This is the Budweiser storyline. Herschel, the only touchdown, 71-yard sprint. Reves with a 50-yard field goal. Christie, 1 from 40. And Testaverde has already thrown for 84 passing yards and he's had a couple of drops. Little Statue of Liberty. And Herschel will go back and say, I think we ought to rip the page out of the book.
That was an excellent job by Keith McCants. Minnesota's offensive line sets for like a Statue of Liberty draw, but the defensive line of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers just wouldn't buy it. The key to this play is Keith McCants, number 52, lower part of your screen. He comes up the field. Vinny can't make the block on him. So what happens is Herschel's got nowhere to go, and he just runs back. See, he doesn't get credit for the tackle, but he was as important a part of that play as anybody.
2nd and 16. Gannon for Jordan. Nice catch at the 19-yard line. Covered by Marty Carter, the rookie free safety, but it's a gain of 20 and another first down. Nice throw by Richie Gannon.
A young man that's really developing. Take charge kind of guy. Sets back in the pocket. Great athlete. Sets, looks down the field. Checks the safeties. Plenty of time. Good job by the O-line. Just hangs it up. Of course, that's typical Steve Jordan. He just, you know, he's just a perennial all-pro type tight end.
Gannon changes the play. For the end zone, Carter overthrown.
Oh, boy, and his AC upset. Richie Gannon changed the play at the line to a play-action fake to Herschel Walker. He saw he had one-on-one coverage outside on Carl Carter, and he just flat misses it. This is a post corner. Comes in, sells the post. Oh, he kills him. He doesn't beat him, he kills him. And Gannon just throws this into the nickel seats, and boy, is AC upset. See, you can't miss opportunities like that. And it's sort of amazing because Minnesota is very proficient inside the 20.
They've been unbelievable this year. Gannon facing a 2nd and 10 now. Terry Allen on the draw. That's a great changeup when you have Allen in there with that quick burst of speed. The second-year man out of Clemson, Broderick Thomas, made the tackles.
Most teams in the National Football League have got this diversity in running backs. You got Terry Allen, who sets things up, slashes and cuts up. You got Herschel Walker, who can pound you inside the tackles and is very effective. And then you bring in Darren Nelson, who's the little guy out of the backfield who can make things happen. That's what I was talking about inside the 20. And the amazing statistic here is that the 26 times they've been inside the 20, they've got 20 touchdowns. That, to me, is the most amazing part of that draft.
Only failed once. Those are the stats exclusively with Rich Gannon at quarterback. Complete to Carter. He'll be about a yard shy of a first down. Hit it to 10. Keith McCants out there this time in coverage.
Hey, I think if you're Burnsy, you've got to go for it. And Richie Gannon wants him to. But
he's still the coach.
He's still the coach. Keith McCants, we saw him making tackles. Now he goes back and plays a little linebacker. Read the play perfectly and really was responsible for stopping him from getting the first down.
So now Reves, who hit from 50, will try from 27. And it will not count. Flags are down. If it's against the Bucs, it's a first down.
Encroachment, number 91. 5 yards. First down.
91 is Rhett Hall, the rookie from California.
And he's wrapped real tight. And by that, I mean, this is a guy who's got his motor wound up. There it is. Got to keep an eye. Keep an eye on the center right there. That's what's going to be the action on this one. Right in the middle. Yep. Didn't quite anticipate it correctly. Got off just a little bit too quick.
So the offense comes back on the field, and they will have a first and goal situation. And they have scored every time this year that they have been in a first and goal. And now the Bucs hustle in their goal line defense. Jerry Burns said he would like to get into this business when it's over. Richard Williamson wants to stay in the business he's in right now.
He wants to stay
and here.
Burnsy wants to come up in the booth. He said he feels like he could add a lot to the games and a lot to the perspective, and I tend to agree with him. Gannon doesn't take my job.
Play action by Gannon. Throws the end zone. Touchdown. Wide open Mike Jones. His on the year, 2 touchdowns.
Can't beat that.
No, sir. It's not much of an average, 1 for 3 and 1 for 5, but both touchdowns.
Good play action fake by Gannon up the middle. Fake to Herschel. They have to respect that. You bring the tight end from the other side. Wide open.
Revés for the point after. And has it. So the Vikings, trying to get to the 500 mark and stay alive in the playoff hunt, have built a 17-3 lead in Tampa. Minnesota now up by 2 touchdowns with 6:11 to go in the first half. Vikings drive 58 yards, capped off by Mike Jones' 5-yard touchdown catch, and kept alive by that offside call. And we understand it's now Charles McCray, number 70, right over the center, who jumps, and not Hall, as they had announced.
And he's a rookie, but he's an offensive lineman.
A lot of these guys are rookies and second-year players. Anderson inside the 5. Has a seam to the 30. We've got a timeout with 6:01 to play in the half. We'll be back to Tampa, Florida in a moment. 6:01 to go in the half. Minnesota 17, Tampa Bay 3. Bucks have the ball outside their own 30-yard line. And look at that, 23 of 47 players in their first or second year.
That's why I think Richard Williamson deserves the opportunity to be able to coach his football team and let him get to know him a little bit more.
McCray in at right tackle, their number 1 pick this year, struggled earlier in the year. Wilson out of the backfield. He'll pick up a few, get to the 37-yard line. Want to update you on some of the NFL stats. Here are the leading passers in the NFL, updated through today's action. And in terms of touchdown passes, Jim Kelly with 30. Rippon, who's having a brilliant year, with 25. Chris Miller leading Atlanta, it looks like, possibly to a division championship with 21. Warren Moon, of course, at Houston, you would expect, up to 20. And Dan Marino with 17. We'll update you on rushers and leading pass receivers as the night goes on. Cobb on the delay. Dragging tacklers with him for a couple of yards.
I think right now is the area where Vinny Testaverde has to be given the opportunity to exert some leadership. It's 3rd down and 2, 3rd down and 3. You got to make the first down, whether you make it with your legs or you hit a back coming out of the backfield. This is where Vinny is going to get the respect of his teammates. This is where a play can be made to help the young quarterback out.
He's hit 6 out of 14 for 91 yards so far. Four-man rush. Over the middle. Fumble picked up by Thomas. And they're calling it an incomplete pass. There's a break for the Bucks. Carrier couldn't hold on, and Henry Thomas swiped it.
Yeah, you know, you boo, and it just isn't right. I mean, it's tough. That's the second one the Carrier puts on the ground. Comes off the ball, little quick move inside. He's got the first down. Doesn't really catch the ball, doesn't really have possession of it. It gets stripped away from him, and now they have to punt.
And plenty of time to go in the half, and that was close to being a catch. Leo Lewis waits at his 20. Nice, high, soaring punt this time, and Lewis with a fair catch makes it at the 25-yard line. The Vikings will start from there after a punt of 37. They already lead it 17-3. Vikings fighting to keep their slim hopes alive in the wild card chase, lead at 17-3, and we hope you'll join us on Tuesday night. Live college basketball doubleheader coming your way starting at 7:30. Vanderbilt against Bob Knight's Indiana Hoosiers, ranked 9th this week. Texas will then go against number 19 Oklahoma. That is a 9:30 Eastern start.
Indiana losing that heartbreaker to Kentucky earlier this
Heck of a game.
week. We'll be there. The Hoosiers don't.
Play action to Herschel. Gannon throws. Hassan Jones makes the catch to 43-yard line. Carter took him out of bounds. Gain of 18. Hassan Jones getting fewer chances to make catches this year because Chris Carter was playing better, and they switched back from the 1 to 2 back offense.
Chris Carter given a lot of space. Hassan takes the move inside, breaks out. Excuse me, Carl Carter, not Chris Carter. Runs him out of bounds. That's about all you can do when you give him that much room.
Vikings hoping to pad their lead right here. Herschel. McCants went for the football and in turn drags down Herschel Walker at the 47-yard line.
Keith McCants is doing an excellent job tonight. We've seen him force Herschel back inside when he's tried to run the Statue of Liberty. Here, he'll chase it down from the backside. This is the kind of speed he's got. I mean, this kid here definitely has the potential to be a Chris Dolman type of defensive end. Not only does he make the tackle, but he also does an excellent job trying to get it away from him.
2nd and 7. Walker on the trap again. With Thomas on his back, plunges forward to the 50-yard line. Best year Herschel Walker ever had, 1988. 361 carries, 1,514 yards.
Almost 5 yards a carry.
Yeah.
I mean, that, you know, here he's tonight, he's only averaging 11 yards because it's down from his 37.5 in the first
That's right.
in the first quarter.
3rd and 3. And Gannon wants to talk it over. You know, the Vikings had a week off, and that has become a big deal in the National Football League now. A lot of teams didn't like the concept of it. Now they do. And Steve Jordan, I think, had the best line about it. He said, "We really didn't want the week off because we were afraid of losing our momentum, but we don't have any, so it didn't matter." And there's Jordan, the veteran Pro Bowl tight end. Later on in the month of December, ESPN will present the Thrifty Car Rental Bowl Week. That begins Sunday, December 29th with the Liberty Bowl. Air Force against Mississippi State. That's at 8 o'clock. And Monday, December 30th, the Thrifty Car Rental Holiday Bowl from the West Coast. Number 7 Iowa against the Throwin' BYU Club. And that is a 8 p.m. start. Then Wednesday, January 1st, 11 a.m. the Peach Bowl. One of the most surprising teams in all of college football. East Carolina taking on NC State. East Carolina had a wonderful year this year. Vikings have already piled up 219 yards in total offense in this game. Draw, Darren Nelson. 35-30. Belted down at the 29. Ball came out late. Finally brought down by Carter and Reynolds and William Frizzell, number 33. Gain of 21.
Tom Moore, the offensive coordinator, told me that Darren Nelson is the best draw runner he's ever seen. He sets himself up. He has great vision and great explosion. There's Tony Covington, number 25, the rookie safety, running around trying to get into coverage. Now, first he starts on Carter, then he takes AC. Then he finally said, well, maybe the ball went down that way. Let me go chase it.
On 1st and 10, Gannon deep over the middle. Chris Carter can't get there. He had Reynolds beaten by a step. The ball just overthrown. Chris Carter was a player not wanted by Buddy Ryan in Philadelphia, and they have loved him in Minnesota.
Chris Carter thought that he was going to be a Philadelphia Eagle forever. There he is with that. I mean, we've seen him make sensational one-handed catches as well. He told me on Friday, he said that I thought I was going to be an Eagle forever. And he said, by getting released, it made me appreciate the fact that you got to play every day hard to keep your job.
2nd and 10. Walker. Got about 6. Got a nice block from Randall McDaniel. Marty Carter made the stop, and we are down to the 2-minute warning. Big first half for Herschel Walker, Richie Gannon, and the Vikings. Minnesota's ball leading 17-3. 2 minutes to go first half. And let's update you on the rushing leaders in the NFL through almost all of week 14.
Wow.
Thurman Thomas and Barry Sanders. Oklahoma State backs leading the league. Smith just barely behind Okoye, ready to go over 1,000, as is Ernest Biner in Washington.
Ernest Biner really has struggled the last 3 weeks, too, in Washington. He's going to get himself primed, I'm sure, getting ready for the playoff run.
Vikings, 4th in the NFL, 1st in the conference, 141 yards tonight. Walker already has 94. It's 3rd and 4 here with Darren Nelson in the backfield. Blitz. Gannon unloads and incomplete. Jordan couldn't handle it, a little bit behind him.
Tampa Bay's defense now has to feel pretty good about it. They shut them down. They can't commit the stupid penalty like they did the last time to get the offside, but this is vintage Floyd Peters on defense. Make the commitment. They're young, but we're still coming after them. Good job by Thomas and McCants, the 2 bookends of the Bucks.
Reves will try from 40.
Floyd with a little smile on his face.
Claude Reves with 2 long field goals, and the Vikings build their lead to 20-3, and it's starting to slip away from the Bucs.
Yeah, but remember, the Buffalo Bills were down an awful lot of points to the Los Angeles Raiders earlier today, and they came back and won in overtime. Stranger things could happen. Mike? All right, so it's a little stretch.
Boy, are you a company guy or what?
You never know. Don't want to. You never know here.
That bonus check just grew by leaps and bounds.
Oh.
Take a look at the wild card race and update you on the action again through today. Detroit, the surprise of the NFL, now at 10-4.
Wayne Fontes, what a fabulous job he's done with those Lions.
New Orleans, with all the trouble in the world, they have 5 starters out. Now they have to play the Raiders. The Eagles have done a brilliant job without Randall Cunningham. They will play at Dallas next week. What a game that ought to be. Dallas, of course, in the same 9-5 situation. And San Francisco barely stays alive today. The 49ers are 8-6.
Well, what's going to happen is that, you got Dallas and Philly playing, and New Orleans is going to have to play a tough one. So if San Francisco just sort of hangs in the weeds, they could wind up making it into the wild card, into the playoffs at 10-6. Last time they did that, they won a Super Bowl.
And the Vikings still have a chance. They could even their record tonight at 7-7. Reves drives Anderson about 7 yards deep. The Vikings, of course, know their only choice is to win the last 3 and then hope that somebody collapses for them. So Tampa Bay with 1:50 to go in the half will start from its own 20. Down 20-3 coming up at halftime. Chris Berman will have all the highlights around the league. We'll take a further look at the playoff picture, and I hope somebody will explain all the tiebreakers. We leave that to the guys in the studio, and then Joe will examine the red zone.
And we have seen a lot of scoring down in the red area, red zone, which is the +20 area.
Bucks do not want to make a mistake down here, already trailing 20-3. Anderson on scrimmage. He was wrapped up. Thomas came over to make the tackle.
This was always one of my favorite times. As soon as the gun went off and we won, that was my favorite time of the game. But the 2-minute offense was the other time.
Testaverde back in a hurry, complete over the middle, and that is Dawsey, who has been his most reliable receiver tonight, not to mention runner, and Dawsey is up to the 48-yard line.
And the pass was thrown, Vinny's favorite. He hits that little seam down the middle. Dawsey just won't come down.
3 catches, 68 yards for Dawsey.
Left part of your screen, watch him come in. Vinny puts it right on the money. Now he's looking around. What a great awareness. He's trying to get out of bounds. He knows that it stops the clock. He doesn't try and cut back in. Well, what great savvy. He's right. He is. The best thing he does is, besides catch the ball, is compete.
When he was in college, he was voted the toughest kid on the team 3 years in a row. He runs only a 4.6 40, about Reggie White speed. But he can play. Anderson forced out of bounds in Viking territory at the 31-yard line by Felix Wright, a gain of 19.
You almost get the feeling these Tampa Bay Buck fans have been waiting for something to cheer about for 14 weeks.
More like 14 years. 1:09 to go in the half. Timeout situation. The Bucs have all 3 of theirs left, so plenty of time on the scoreboard and with the timeouts with 1:09 to go.
Now, this is where Vinny's got to be careful. He doesn't want to make a foolish throw. Look the defense over. Don't take a sack here.
He has Dawsey in the slot on the right. Throws complete to the 14-yard line. Carrier makes the grab. It will be another first down. Carrier, who had dropped a couple earlier, hung on to that one. Another good throw by Testaverde.
Tampa Bay's called the timeout. That's the time you want to do it. This has been an excellent 2-minute drive by the Bucs. Of course, Mark Carey having a tough night so far. He's into this game now. Goes down, plants 15 yards, makes the move inside. Good square cut. Now get down on the ball. Good job of getting down on the ball and cradling it, and a good job by that offensive line. Minnesota decides to bring more than just the 4. Testaverde hangs tough, wants to take a peek downfield. Always got to see if it's completed.
Defensive coordinator Monty Kiffin of the Vikings. The defense has changed somewhat under Kiffin from Floyd Peters. It still has that same look. They play it slightly differently. Ball spotted at the 13. 1st and 10 for the Bucs with a minute to go. And Testaverde has been sharp on this drive. Wilson and Anderson back with him in the shotgun. And not a bad throw either.
Oh, I know, but Vinny's sitting. I mean, his insides are turning right now. But he can't get down on himself. Okay, we missed one. That's all he can say. Sets in the pocket. Dawsey does a great job of winning inside. He makes the throw. That's a catchable ball, Mark.
Sure is.
That's really a catchable ball. I mean, that one's not. I mean, that one just gets right through his hands. He can't believe it.
He's thinking, here's the guy. He's my go-to guy. And he drops it. Complete to Drury at the 3. Very close to another first down. So Willie Drury steps up and makes the grab. And they'll stop the clock again with their second timeout.
It's exciting. I love a well-run 2-minute drill. I think they're doing an excellent job. There's Morris Watt, who's become the quarterback coach to the right of Richard Williamson. Sort of directing traffic a little bit, becomes Vinny Testaverde's new mentor. Of course, Monty Kiffin in the middle of all those Vikings trying to figure out what do we do to stop this thing.
You've got to be impressed not only with Testaverde's execution on this drive, but his decisions.
Yeah, he's playing smart football. I mean, you know, the quarterback position is 85% mental. You usually are able to play the quarterback position because you have the physical tools, the arm strength, the size, the ability to move it around. The difference in this game comes in making mental decisions. So far, he's exhibited some excellent mental decisions.
47 seconds to go in the half. The Bucs could really use the touchdown here to cut it to 20-10. They do have a 1st and goal situation. 1 timeout. They could afford to run the ball if they thought they had a good play down here.
Michael, what do you mean run the ball? He sounds he sounds just like a coach.
You sound just like a quarterback. Let's go throw it.
Just like the coach.
On this drive, Testaverde 5 out of 6, 77 yards. Tight formation. Cobb.
Coach, what do you got now?
Well, I'll throw it now.
Sure you have to.
Ken Clark, the 14-year veteran, makes the tackle.
I just think, you know, the problem I have with trying to sweep like they did as an offense down close to the goal line, you've got 11 people within 3 yards of the ball, and everybody's going to try and get through and make...
Tight formation again, play action by Testaverde. Scrambling to buy time, he'll try to run it in. Touchdown! Holy cow!
I wouldn't exactly call that sell it out, but it doesn't matter. You're in. He got it in there.
A 7-yard scramble that took about 15 seconds, and Testaverde gets it in the end zone.
Little play action fake. Does a good job of holding the linebackers. Testaverde makes Jimmy Williams miss. There he goes. Now tuck it away. Put it in, Vin. Don't take the hit. Deliver it. I don't care. Get in there. Touchdown. Yes. Give me that ball. I love it.
Fourth time in his career he has scored on the ground, and Testaverde got the job done on the entire drive.
Don't go away, folks.
Jim Kelly does it with a little more authority and a little more speed, but as long as you get in, who cares?
That's all that matters. It's a well-executed drive. Wait a minute. What do we got here? What happened?
Let's hear the officials call. The Vikings defense is back out on the field, and here comes the Bucs offense. The ball came loose at the end of the play. There was a flag down that nobody saw, and we're told the preliminary indication was an illegal substitution before the play.
Well, if one of the linemen... Well, here we go.
Second down at the 8-yard line.
Well, that's okay. Don't explain it to us. I'll do it. What happens is if a number wearing a 50 or a 60 or a 70 reports in an eligible receiver position, and I think it was Charles McCray, number 70, and does not go up to the referee and identify himself so that he can tell the defensive team he is an eligible receiver, that is considered an illegal substitution.
So McCray did come in, and you have to check in again. If you come in on first down and say, I'm an eligible receiver.
Oh, second down.
If you check in on first down and say, I am an eligible receiver, you have to do it again on the next down. Even if you stay in, right, you have to tell them again. And the clock has run down to 14 seconds. McCray is out. And Testaverde must be thinking, hey, come on, guys, this doesn't happen very often.
All right, okay, you got the score. Now you got to get your composure back.
What a huge play. It remains 20-3 instead of 20-10. Testaverde throws Anderson at the goal line. Touchdown.
Well, if they don't give him this one.
No kidding. And this one will probably be reviewed because he was very close to the stripe, but Gary Anderson with a clutch catch on a nice throw.
And also excellent job by Gary Anderson. This is where he's so effective. He's a little frail to be pounded into the line of scrimmage, but he's an excellent wide receiver. He's split out on the left side. There he is. He makes the throw. There it is. Does he have... Well, right here. See that?
Ooh.
The ball was right, but the ball is still on the line. Take a look at it. Right there. That ball might still be on the line.
What's interesting...
Play on the field is ruled a touchdown. It is being reviewed.
He doesn't have possession at this point.
Oh, wait a second. Where does the ball wind up? Okay. Does he have possession? Not really. Now he doesn't have possession. Okay, there's the ball. Does he have possession? Now he officially has possession.
Boy, is that going to be a close
But here's the line, though. That's the big thing. I mean, can you tell exactly where the line was and the ball?
Keep in mind, the call on the field was a touchdown, so it has to be conclusive evidence. And there is Bob Beeks, the replay official, along with Val Pinchbeck, the communicator. It has to be conclusive to overturn it, and I don't know if you can say that is conclusive.
I think his body shields the ball. Hard to tell. Get another look, see. Watch, see, the ball now will slide by. It's a completion. That we're sure of. There it is, right here. Now the ball is on the line. Okay. Now, does he have possession? Now, he has possession. There's the line. Was the ball in? I don't know.
I don't think it was, but I don't know if you can overturn it. The ball will go on his hip. It never touches the ground.
See, but he's got the ball. See, he's got the ball.
Conclusive being the operative word, and I don't know if they will say that that is conclusive evidence that it was not a touchdown, and that's the way the rule works.
Well, there are two very interested spectators at this point.
You don't think Richard Williamson will be frustrated if this one doesn't work after Testaverde runs one in?
Richard Williamson's starting to get the same kind of hair comb of Jerry Burns, though. I mean, they're getting that same look, like worried.
Well, Jerry Burns once said that a mirror was his worst enemy.
Both of them waiting. Only 7 seconds left to go.
Here's the call.
After review of this replay, we have a reversal.
Oh,
The ball's on the half-yard line.
oh, holy cow.
I'll tell you, Mike, now I think you got to try and run the ball in.
And now Minnesota will call a timeout.
Their second, it'll be a 40-second timeout called by number 50.
He's in the end zone, okay? What do you call possession? Did he have it on his hip? I think, does it have to be cradled? These are all questions I think you have to ask.
I don't think he had the ball until he was on his back. And that is what instant replay is saying. He did not have it when it broke the plane of the end zone. And I have to say that's a good call. I feel sorry for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because they think they've scored twice in a row and they don't have one yet.
I agree with you. I agree with you. Must have possession and control. You see the ball is out a little bit there. The ball is still out. Now, we know for sure he's not in the end zone at that point, so I'd have to say that the officials did an excellent job making that call.
And credit to Felix Wright, who came in and hit him hard enough to drive him back and keep him out of the end zone. 7 seconds to go in the first half. If you throw, you could get another shot. If you run, this is it.
I'll tell you what you do. If you want to bring everybody in, tight, you run the play-action fake that Vinny scored on the time before, because if you put it in Vinny's hands, he can still throw the ball away and you still get a shot at 3.
Cobb. It's a play-action fake. Testaverde throws. Touchdown. Jesse Anderson, the tight end.
Well, the Bucs think they've scored 21 points in the last 20 seconds, but they're really only going to get 7.
They have scored 21 points in the last 15 seconds.
Hey, they've proven one thing. They can get it in the end zone. I think this is the perfect call in this situation. Watch the play-action fake to the right. Cobb, excellent job by Vinny by flashing the ball. What a great job of selling it. Steps up in the pocket, makes the throw, touchdown.
That is the first touchdown pass Testaverde has thrown in the first half this year. The point after is good, and it couldn't have come at a better time for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's the halftime score. The Vikings 20, the Bucs 10. Now let's go back to our studios and Chris Berman. Chris.
All right, Mike and Joe, thank you. So the Buccaneers scoring at will. They thought the last 20 or 30 seconds of the half. They trailed all the Minnesota Vikings. I'll tell you what a weekend, Week 15 turned out to be. 13 of the 14 games, even this one, have some sort of playoff ramification. Let's run through the day. The veteran Jimmy Mack and the Eagles looking to beat the Giants again. Mack left the game in the second quarter when Lorenzo Freeman drilled him. He had bruised ribs. So enter Jeff Kemp, who could run, who could find receivers, and who could eliminate the Giants from the playoffs. The Eagles win at 19-14. Falcons at the Rams. Falcons looking for their 4th straight win. Chris Miller, the zip to Andre Bad Moon Rising. A touchdown. But it's not only Rising, it's other receivers for Miller. Michael Haynes also caught 6 and a touchdown. Falcons roll the Rams 31-14. Rams have lost 7 in a row. Steve Berline hasn't lost a beat since Aikman's been hurt for Dallas. Against the New Orleans Saints, Berline rolls, touchdown, Darrell Johnson, 7-0 Dallas. You also like when Emmitt Smith ran for 112 yards before he left the game with a sprained knee. The Cowboys beat the Saints 23-14. What has happened in New Orleans? They've lost 4 in a row. Low scoring. Yeah, Michael Dean Perry had single digits on his jersey. But a guy who also has single digits is John Elway. For Denver, he hits Michael Young. And the veteran Vance Johnson. Elway and the Broncos do what they usually do to Cleveland, beat them 17-7. San Diego at Kansas City in the 4th quarter. DeBerg has been benched. The pickle, Mark Vlasic, is in. And he deals one out to Harvey Williams for a touchdown. The Chiefs lead it. We go to overtime. 20 straight field goals for Nick Lowry, including the winner. The Chiefs beat the Chargers 20-17. Steelers at the Oilers. Jim Eddy's defense showing the way for Houston. Lamar Lathan nails Neil O'Donnell. The underrated middle linebacker, Al Smith, rumbling, bumbling, stumbling, hits a touchdown. And the Oilers win their first division anywhere since '67. They crushed the Steelers 31-6. Pete Carroll, defensive coordinator of the Jets, is a hot assistant. But nobody was hotter in the Silverdome than Barry Sanders. 2 early touchdowns, including this 51-yarder. Forget it. Zip. Gone. The Lions beat the Jets 34-20. They stay unbeaten. Now they close out their home season at the Silverdome. The Phoenix Cardinals and Johnny Johnson smell an upset. Lead the Skins 14-0 at the half. But Washington comes back. Mark Rippon, Ricky Sanders. The Skins beat Phoenix 20-14. 2 friends, Gibbs and Bugle, talk it over afterwards. Lindy and Bonnie's Packers been a long year for them. It will get longer when the Bears Jim Harbaugh. To Wendell Davis not once, but twice. Brad Colonel Muster also had 2 touchdowns. The Bears beat the Pack 27-13. Colts at the Patriots, 9 seconds to go. The Colts lead by a touchdown. Hugh Millen to Ben Winter Colts. It's a touchdown for Dick McPherson. Then, second drive of the OT. Millen. Money. Michael Timpson. Touchdown. Throw the flag on the coach. He tackled the quarterback. The Patriots win by 6 in OT. 49ers trying to sew up a spot in the playoffs against Seattle. Kevin Lewis fumbles. Steve Bono on this play looked like Sonny. And Dexter Carter back up. Both down by 5. Steve Bono. I got you, babe. To John Taylor. The Niners win again for their 4th straight, 24-22. Bills at the Raiders. Bills down 7 with a minute to go. Kelly to Lofton. We're tied at 27. Scott Norwood could win it in regulation. Forget it. He was horrible. But at least he redeemed himself in overtime. 41 yards. It's gone. And the Bills in overtime win in the Mausoleum, where hardly anybody does. Buffalo beats the Raiders 30-27. We told you it was wild. And when we return, Tom Jackson will join me, and we'll talk the playoff pictures. And the hot Niners have won 4 straight. The hot Falcons have won 4 straight. Nobody hotter than the Eagles. They've won 6 in a row. Stay with us. Good to see all of our friends with us here at halftime. Also, another friend, Tom Jackson, not Arnold Zippel, joins me. Tommy, the playoff picture, it's getting to be that time. Let's quickly run through it for the folks. And remember, obviously, there's some games to go. Buffalo wins either of their last 2 games, starting with next Sunday here on ESPN. They'll be home field throughout the AFC playoffs. Houston wins the Central. Denver has clinched at least a wild card berth. They have a 1-game lead in the West. Kansas City and the Raiders also clinched at least wild card berth today. So that means only 1 slot left in the AFC. And with Miami playing on Monday night, they would have a big jump on the Jets, who they end their season with, if Miami can beat Cincinnati tomorrow night. NFC, of course, the Redskins, with their win over Phoenix, have home field throughout the playoffs. Bears win the tiebreak with the also 10-4 Lions. Falcons now win the tiebreak with the also 9-5 New Orleans Saints. And Tommy, the Falcons have won 4 in a row. Why are they so hot?
Well, when you watch the development of the Atlanta Falcon offense, what you see is Chris Miller finding a favorite receiver, Andre Rison. I think that you need a guy who's going to run across the middle for you, who's going to make the catch in a crowd, a guy that you can depend on in the clutch. And not to take anything away from Michael Haynes, I think that Andre Rison, at least over the course of the last month, has become the go-to guy.
He seriously has been a bad moon Rison. It gets most muddied in the NFC wildcard picture because you have a lot of teams with outstanding records. Detroit at 10-4, then the Saints, Eagles, and Dallas at 9-5. Dallas and Philly play next week. San Francisco still in it at 8-6. Philly and San Francisco. The Eagles have won 6 in a row. The Niners have won 4 in a row. And they're both doing it with third-string quarterbacks. Unbelievable.
Yeah, and when you talk about third-string quarterbacks, you don't expect them to be efficient. In the case of Jeff Kemp, here's a guy that up until a week ago, actually less than a week ago, his team did not know that he could throw a touchdown pass. Now he not only shows that he can throw the ball, but he can run outside the pocket and create situations for his team. In the case of Steve Bono, here's a guy who's been with the 49ers for 3 years. He knows the system. When you watch this pass to John Taylor, that's very Montana-like, very young-like. We've seen that at the end of the game for the 49ers, so this is a guy that I think they now can depend on.
See, ironically, the Niners are playing next Saturday against Kansas City. Steve Young, I think, is going to be ready. But here Young could never move Montana out. Now he may get it from behind. He can't move Bono out. That's a tough call. But we shall see. The Niners and Falcons and Eagles are very, very hot. McMahon looks like he will miss next week for sure. Herschel Walker and the Vikings lead it by 10. Back to Tampa in a moment.
precision crafted performance. We're at halftime in Tampa, Florida, where the Minnesota Vikings are leading the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 20-10. Welcome back, everybody. Mike Patrick along with Joe Theismann. Glad you could join us on this Sunday night. You know, scoring is down across the entire NFL this year, especially in what they call the red zone, the 20-yard line and in. Why?
Oh, it's very simple, Mike.
Thank you.
Because if you take a look at these numbers, I believe that there's a lot more zones being paid. You can see receiving touchdowns are down 53. Now, that's a sizable number for that particular part of the game. And I really think that more and more teams have decided they want to play zone. They don't want to give up the cheap touchdown. They don't want to play man-to-man coverage as much. And I really believe that once they start running the ball, they'll force them out of this particular defense. When you take a look at the way it's set up, the defense is like an umbrella. That's how the secondary lines up. Then what they do, when the quarterback goes back to pass, what happens when we stop it right here? Now they'll play with 5 people underneath, and the safety's back. They're forcing you to throw here to come up and make the tackle. That's what's happening inside the red area. That's why more and more teams are not being able to put the ball in the end zone by the pass. I think, just like the great innovators that coaches are in the National Football League, what they're going to do is they're going to decide that you have to run the ball more down in the red area, force the defenses to put 7 and 8 people at the line of scrimmage. Then you're going to be able to get those one-on-one matchups that we just don't see anymore in the National Football League in the red area.
The one thing you used to hear, Joe, was that it was almost like a cardinal rule. You could play zone anywhere you wanted, but once you got inside the 10-yard line, you had to play man-to-man. Doesn't work that way anymore. There's Darren Nelson, who's back to receive the kick for the opening of the second half. Nelson gets a handle on it at the 3. Out to the 34-yard line. Nice return by Nelson, brought down by Al Chamblee, backup defensive end. Take a look at the halftime stats. And Testaverde with 178 passing yards in the first half. The big disparity there, 141 rushing for the Vikings. Most of it coming on that big burst by Herschel Walker.
And you see the average starts are about the same. The Vikings at their 28, the Bucs at their 23. And remember, Vinny had 3 passes dropped, or he would have been 16 for 23.
Sure would have. Walker and Fenny are the backs behind Rich Gannon. Herschel. McCants has him wrapped up as he crossed the 35, but he moves the pile to the 37.
Take a look and see how Richie Gannon did the first half, moving the ball around. You can see they want to try and go down the field. They completed 3 out of 7 passes, staying basically to the right. That's the way he's lined up. He's a right-handed quarterback. You almost expect that, but you can see that the Vikings are trying to push the ball down the field, and they've done it with relative success.
Terry Allen in the backfield on 2nd and 6. Allen will get the delay. First down and more. Got a heck of a block from Tim Irwin, the 11-year veteran right tackle, number 76.
Well, he gets into the hole in a hurry.
Doesn't he?
He's one of those explosive type backs. Once he gets inside, once he makes a decision, he's headed north and south. He doesn't fool around giving you a lot of moves, a lot of shaking and baking. It's off and gone. Floyd Peters cannot allow the Minnesota Vikings to continue to pound the ball down. He's going to have to bring the linebackers up close. He's going to have to commit some of the safety people to blitzing if he wants to stop that run.
Ball at the Buccaneer, 48-yard line. 1st and 10 Vikings. Gannon with a pump fake. Now he takes off. Vinny came back, tried to throw him a block, and Gannon down to the 40-yard line. Brought down by McCants and Broderick Thomas. Both #1 draft choices.
What an unbelievable job by Keith McCants. He was way out of the play, way up the field rushing, and he was just not playing well tonight. He may not like that defensive end position, but he sure is playing it well.
One of 3 Alabama linebackers to be among the top 5 picks in the NFL. Bennett and Thomas the others. Here is Herschel. And you can tell when Herschel turns to the side and runs east and west, that's the one area they try to get him to go in because he's never been effective there.
Well, it's just not his style. And everybody's got a style. His is not going east and west. His is from the eye and deep. The big difference, I think, there's Mark Trestman. That's the biggest difference in Richie Gannon. Mark Trestman is the Vikings quarterback coach, and Richie Gannon talks about him as a friend, as a mentor, somebody who really understands the game. This is one of the really young, bright minds in the game of football today. Does an excellent job quarterbacking coaching.
Herschel with his third 100-yard game of the year. Had 105 before that carry. Will lose about 3. Dexter Manley on the stop.
This is where you have to be concerned a little bit about Dexter. Because he's a little bit older, of course, it's a cooler night here, but still, he can't play 60 plays anymore on defense. His legs don't quite handle it. You got to get him out, give him a little rest. Get as much as you can out of him now, but you want to save him for the end of the game when you can put that.
2nd and 12. Gannon takes the screen one way and then pressured. Tried to throw it to Allen, and great pressure. And now Gannon and Broderick Thomas exchange a couple of slaps.
And Richie Gannon is not going to back down.
No.
He's a big guy in his own right. Goes 6'3", a little over 200. If you want to get in my face, I'll get in your face.
Jesse Solomon, one of 3 Buccaneers applying the pressure on Gannon.
They do a good job. It's a screen set up to the left, but there it is. Now there's Broderick. He says, hey, I'm going to give you a little bit. He says, I'm not taking any of it. Yeah, back in your face, buddy. Don't you point your finger at me. I love it. I love a scrappy guy.
You have to like Rich Gannon's attitude. 3rd and 12. McCants puts the pressure on Gannon, trying to run for it. And a nice tackle by Tony Covington. And he gets a little lip service, too.
Well, I got to be honest with you. I don't they can start talking trash. And when you're 2-11, you don't talk trash. You make tackles, you get off the field. But that's a different day and age, I guess.
Well, after all, they did score 3 touchdowns in the last 15 seconds of the first half.
That's true.
That's something. Reveiz will try another long one. He's hit from 40 and 50. This would be 49. His only misses this year have come from 46 and beyond. And this is wide right and short. So Reveiz hits 2 long ones, but can't hit the 3rd. The Bucs defense is held, and they'll get the ball. 20-10, Tampa Bay with the football. 10:19 to go, 3rd quarter. Testaverde in the last drive before the half that really kept them in this game. 7 out of 8, 89 yards. Finally got the touchdown. Wilson the setback. Vinny has played a very good football game. Throwing for Carrier, can't get it. Nice coverage by Reggie Rutland.
Floyd Peters got his youngsters together. Dexter Manley, 92. Keith McCants. Boy, McCants has just played a great game tonight.
I'd like to see Floyd Peters get a shot at a head coaching job.
And Keith McCants said, you know, he's got somebody here that he really enjoys coaching under. I hope he doesn't leave.
Testaverde trying to scramble. Gets back to the 35-yard line, so he'll pick up 3. Ken Clark, the 14-year man, made the stop from behind.
Took a look at Richie Gannon's passing chart. There's Vinny Testaverde. You see, he's working more underneath. Try to hit. Now, this is where his strengths are, down the middle of the field.
3rd and 7. 4-man rush. Throws the out complete to Anderson right at the first down marker. Felix Wright made the tackle. And Gary Anderson out of Arkansas.
You know, Mike, you get a feeling and a sense that this offense believes that it can make things happen. Now they decide we're going to go with a little no huddle. Make the Vikings communicate on the field, don't allow substitutions, and try and get some matchups.
Going with a 3 wide receiver set. Testaverde, another one of those seam routes, and a great catch by Ron Hall. Joey Browner made the stop, but it's 24 yards on the pickup.
The no huddle is disconcerting because it's difficult for the defense to be able to communicate. This is just a great throw and a great catch. Actually, a greater catch than it was a throw. But they're in a rhythm now.
Hall, the most solid and consistent performer on this football team. Vinny, the quick out. A flag is down. The pass complete to Carrier, covered by Lee. And mistakes like this are how you get to be 2-11.
Holding number 73 of the offense, 10 yards, still first down.
Tom McHale, the left guard, 5-year man out of Cornell.
He's stuck with Ken Clark, number 71, the nose tackle, looped over to him. He grabbed him. But now is where you have to think. Vinny's got to think, okay, it's only first and 20. We just have to pick it up. Don't try and get it all in one throw.
Good protection again. Throws. Carrier has it at the 10. Or get it all in one throw.
Yeah. Oh, well, why not? But I mean, why not? But what they're doing right here is Vinny Testaverde's one strength, I really believe, the thing he does the best, is he throws the seam. The seam routes are right down the middle of the field. That's where he throws the football. Top of your screen, Carrier just gives a little shake, and he's in the seam, and Vinny's just right on the money with it.
Carrier with 13 career 100-yard games. That's only one short of the club record. It's another first down for the Bucs. Nothing but passes on this series. Carrier again gave ground and was wrapped up by Wright. And Felix Wright has been a fine addition to this football team. They got him in Plan B from Cleveland.
The two safeties of the Minnesota Vikings in this concept of defense are up to be able to support the run and attack the short passing game. Felix Wright gives that added dimension. Now you just don't have to rely on Joey Browner to make plays.
2nd and 5. Vikings show blitz and come. Great job by the line to pick it up. Pass almost picked off in the end zone. Reggie Rutland had it and couldn't hold it.
That's where Vinny thought that his arm could get it done for him. He double clutched. He held it a little bit too long. He saw the receiver break open. Then he tries to throw it in, and that's always too late. Here he's just downright lucky. Just downright lucky Rutland doesn't pick it off and go the other way 100.
3rd and 5. Testaverde to Anderson. Contact and a flag. I was waiting for it because Felix Wright appeared to hit him early.
Defensive pass interference, number 22 at the 1-yard line. First and goal.
Just before the half, we saw Gary Anderson run the quick slant, which we thought was a touchdown. Here he is, number 40, outside, does the same thing. The reason why is because he's matched up against the safety, Felix Wright. They consider that a mismatch. We've got Gary Anderson on a safety as opposed to a corner. Advantage should be Tampa Bay.
It's been a beautiful drive. And now they have 1st and goal, and Cobb is back in at the tailback spot. Cobb, touchdown. Seventh rushing touchdown of the year for Reggie Cobb. And we've got a ball game.
Well, Robert Wilson, number 20, the fullback, was an excellent blocker at Texas A&M. Watch him lead the way. Little number 20. Look at that block. Cobb just cuts off his rear end a little bit, slides inside for the 6.
Point after is good. That makes it 20-17. And Reggie Cobb now has 6 rushing touchdowns in the last 6 games.
Minnesota 20, Tampa Bay 17, and this is how they got the touchdown. They caught the Vikings on an out charge, these 2 inside, and you'll see this big gaping hole up the middle that Cobb gets to just blow it in the end zone. They caught the 2 inside tackles charging out. Reggie Cobb had a nice big hole right up the middle.
And a nice lead block by Wilson. Nelson 2 yards deep, he'll bring it out. Again, Nelson with a seam across the 40, 45, 48-yard line for Darren Nelson. a 50-yard return. Came in averaging more than 20, 6th in the NFC, and that will do wonders for the average. Timeout, 6:49 to go, third quarter. It's a 3-point game. The offensive line of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they have had 2 back-to-back outstanding drives to close this game to within 3 points. Vikings ball at their own 48.
You know, you come out here, Mike, run a little play action and try and go up top and take the fans out of this game a little bit.
Gannon under pressure. Throws, AC can't get there. Carl Carter on the coverage for the Buccaneers. You know, Gannon had to throw it before he wanted to.
If the Vikings aren't careful, they're going to let the Tampa Bay Buccaneers feel like they can play this thing.
Well, the Bucs at home have been a very, very tough team to deal with. They beat Philadelphia and Detroit. They lost to Buffalo and the Giants by 7. They lost to the Bears by 1. Their major problems have come on the road. Gannon, after a quick start, now 8 out of 6 teams missed his last 4. Terry Allen on the toss. And waiting for him, Broderick Thomas. Emotion is such a big part of this game.
Well, you know, you got a lot of young football players on the Tampa Bay defense, and these guys are starting to talk a little trash. This game's starting to heat up a little bit. You know, Broderick Thomas and Keith McCants got their own little thing going. And right now, I call them in a dead heat because they're both dominating on the defensive side of the ball for Tampa Bay. Did an excellent job of playing the block off and making a play.
Vikings have been in Buccaneer territory 6 of their 7 drives tonight. 3rd and 7 here. Gannon sidearms it to Carter. It looks like the mark is short of the first down. AC got it between the 42 and the 43. Jesse Solomon covered it.
It's short by a little bit more than a football.
If that's true, it's the first time this year you've gotten one right, but I already said it. And Jerry Burns did not like the spot.
It's a nice little quick set by Gannon. Drops back. Carter goes out. Chris Carter goes out. AC comes in. Gets down on the ball. Try and rolls for the first down. Whoa. It's about a football and a half.
I don't know about you, but I'm 1 for 1.
You're rolling, Mike. That's one of the really neat guys in the game. I think neat's a good term for Jerry Burns. I mean, he's always been a coach, doesn't handle the offense or defense, has his coordinators do it, but has tried to keep a pulse on his ball club.
And they'll go for it. The officials waiting until they're with it. Herschel goes the other way. And the mark will give him a first down near the 41-yard line. They pushed him back, but not before he got it. Marty Carter up from the safety spot, and a lot of pushing and shoving going on now after each play.
You know, if you're going to put Randall McDaniel in the backfield on short yardage and goal line, you figure, why don't you follow him? And that's exactly what they do. Randall just gets in the hole, and Herschel gets in his hip pocket, manages to get enough for the first down.
Floyd's into this.
He thinks they did a good job. Wait, oh, no.
Then he saw the spot.
No, come on.
They will measure.
Got this one by the length of a football.
You're picking the easy ones now.
I have to. My record is horrible.
The close ones you can't get, so you go for the easy.
Well, you got to start somewhere.
Spotted inside the 42-yard line. Minnesota has seen a 20-3 lead dwindle to 20-17. 5:18 to go, third quarter. Allen, the single setback, will get the ball. Nice cut, but what a play by Broderick Thomas. That looked like it had 10 or 15 yards written all over it. Special edition of NFL Game Day next Saturday as the NFL And Sunday play. It will start at 11:30 a.m. Eastern, updating you on all the Saturday action. Then the normal show on Saturday, noon Eastern. Prime time, of course, back at 7 o'clock every Sunday night. And our game next Sunday night will be in the Dome in Indianapolis for the Colts and the comeback Buffalo Bills.
And we will see the best football player in the National Football League, Thurman Thomas, play next Sunday night.
Herschel, Carter on the reverse. Carter to the 30, should be another first down. Marty Carter made the tackle on Anthony Carter.
You know, you talk about Jerry Burns' job, and Tom Moore, who's the offensive coordinator now, is another one of those guys who sort of is in the background, but this is a pretty innovative offense. Like we said, Richie Gannon, since he's taken over, there he throws a little block on Dexter Manley, but they're moving the ball around. We saw what Tampa Bay did with their no-huddle offense. Now the Vikings with a little reverse. There's Tommy Moore. Used to be with the Steelers. Now he sits upstairs. Says he can see things. It's a lot more quiet up there than it was on the sidelines to call plays.
Harry Allen breaks this one inside the 20. He's got another first down. And again, another crisp block from Tim Irwin, the right tackle. Irwin, 11 years out of Tennessee.
Look at Terry Allen study the hole. Like we said, he doesn't fool around. Once he gets in the hole, he's up and down. Then just lowers his shoulders. Not a big guy, only 190 pounds. But manages to move the pile.
First and 10 approaching 3 minutes. Look at the rushing yard disparity. Over 200 for the Vikings. Walker has over 100 by himself. Gannon for the end zone and overthrown. Intended for the club's all-time leading receiver, Steve Jordan, who broke Ahmad Rashad's record this year.
This is from our goalpost cam. You get to see the free safety. Richie Gannon just wants to hang this up. Just hang it up. Jordan's got the defender beat. Covington just can't quite get it, and he runs, and he disappears into the goalpost. There's our new little toy. A great shot from it.
Second and 10, Allen. Picks up 4 to the 15-yard line. Middle linebacker Jesse Solomon, the former Viking, the first man to hit him.
Jesse Solomon has become the leader of this young Tampa Bay defense. He came down in the trade from Minnesota via Dallas. Via New England.
Was a long
a lot
way.
of bias, but he got here, and he's really taken over that middle linebacker position and been placed with the responsibility of calling the plays.
One of the Buccaneers defenders is hurt. We'll check on the injury situation when we come back. It's a 20-17 game. Tim Newton, the 7-year veteran out of Florida, on the sideline. He was the injured player. The team woefully thin. Watch what happens to the right knee, number 96.
Gets driven back. It's a good thing he's on grass because it does slide back out of the way. But you can see that he took a little shot on Tim Newton down to 275. He's always struggled with weight. When he was a Viking, he had trouble. He hovered right around 300. Has his weight down now and playing very well.
Defense already playing without Reuben Davis, who was their best defensive down lineman. Hurt went on injured reserve. Gannon throwing the fade. Anthony Carter, and a beautiful defensive play by Ricky Reynolds. Right in his face. Can't play it any better than that.
No, you can't. I'll tell you, if I was going to pick a corner to go at, it wouldn't be Ricky Reynolds. I'd go the other way at Carl Carter or Roger Jones, whoever's playing the left side. Excellent job by Ricky Reynolds. Good position, good contact, gets it up. AC trying to make a play. Doesn't try and do anything fancy, just bats it away.
So that makes a 4th down, and Fuad Reveiz, who is 2 out of 3 tonight and has not missed under 40 in ages, still does it and makes it a 6-point ball game for the Minnesota Vikings. So Reveiz has hit 3 out of 4 and a 6-point game. Be interesting to see what the Bucs will be able to do on offense. The last 2 times they've had the ball at the end of the first half and the first time here in the third quarter, driven a total of 148 yards. Vinny's been sharp, and they've gotten 2 touchdowns out of it.
The thing that's interesting about it, too, is they've gone to a no-huddle offense twice. Before the end of the half and the 2-minute, and they opened the third quarter with it.
We've updated you on several of the NFL stats tonight. How about the receiving leaders in the NFL?
Why not?
Why not, indeed? And we've had some guys with some outstanding years, and maybe Jeffries with 89 catches. Irvin of Dallas, I think, has had one of the best years I've ever seen from anybody. 78 catches and big catches. Cook, fine tight end, with 76. Reed and Hill both with 75.
I'll tell you, out of those 5, Michael Irvin, to me, has really been the guy that stands out. He has made big play after big play, set a receiving record this week. I mean, he is really something special. Jimmy Johnson done a fabulous job with his football team. I don't think any of us thought that Dallas would be contending like they are, probably a playoff team this early with the taking over of Jimmy Johnson and, of course, Jerry Jones' acquisition of the ball club. He's done a terrific job down there.
It's been outstanding. Gary Anderson, the center deep man, waits at the goal line. Buccaneers down by 6, trying to win their 3rd of the season and maybe get Richard Williams' chances to stay here as Revay slips, picked up by one of the upmen and brought back. That's Tim Ryan, an offensive lineman, and Beckles just lost his footing and went down.
Contrary to popular belief, that was not an attempt at an onside kick, I don't think. Tim Ryan now gets down in the record books as returning a kickoff. Watch his left foot. Whoop. I'm gone.
Lucky he kicked it that far.
Hey, NFL Films is going to have that one.
32-yard field goal by Revay after a drive that only went 37 yards. Wilson gets a rare carry and picks up about 5. Al Noga, 4-year veteran out of Hawaii, makes the stop. This is a very Solman 266. The linebacker's all at 220. Going with a hurry up again. It's been so successful so far for them. Testaverde, this one incomplete to Carrier. And
They're going to get right first. They're going to get right first. And I'll tell you why. The flag, when Felix Wright pushed Carrier, the flag came out. I think if he had another one in his pocket, he probably would have thrown it. But Felix Wright, he's been in the league too long to do something that stupid.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 22 of the defense. 15 yards from the previous spot. First down.
Wright's lucky he didn't get it on the hit.
Now here he's going to come in. The ball is overthrown. He comes and he throws low. Carrier doesn't appreciate it. He gets up and says something, and Felix pushes him. And then Carrier, like I said, pushes him back. Normally the second guy gets the flag. This was a case where the flag came out already.
And this is Testaverde on the other end of the play, getting buried in the turf.
See, they don't keep charts on they don't keep charts on that. They just keep charts on sacks.
Big break for Tampa Bay. They have the ball now at the Minnesota 48. The out knocked away again, and once again they went for Dawsey on the out pattern, and for the second time tonight, Rutland nearly had an interception. Those are the only 2 bad throws Vinny's made tonight.
And you know, I'll tell you, Vinny's he's played well, but he's also been lucky. This ball, both the receiver and the defenders have slipped down on both of the throws. Reggie Rutland doing an excellent job on Dawsey. I mean, he's right in his hip pocket. That's an interception going the other way if he doesn't.
Went for the hit instead of playing the ball, and he missed him. If Dawsey hangs on, it's 7.
This is a night that's so close.
Oh.
I mean, Rutland almost had one going the other way for an INT. Dawsey goes up for this one, almost comes down with it, going the other way. It's like a ping pong match.
I mean, Wright took a shot and missed. And very fortunate that Dawsey couldn't hold on. 3rd and 10 now. And on 3rd down, Vinny has hit 3 out of 5, all first down. 3-man rush this time. Testaverde sideline. It will be a first down. Nice grab by Drury. There is a flag down on the play. And And the initial call, holding against Tampa Bay.
Holding, number 74 of the offense, 10 yards. Repeat, third down.
That's Paul Gruber, their best lineman, who does not believe the call.
Paul Gruber right here is going to have to block Chris Dolman. Winds up hanging on to him. Sets back, does a nice job, gets his hands outside.
Boy, not much.
You find it.
Not much. You are allowed to touch the guy you're blocking.
Yeah, you can push him. I mean, if the guy gets by you, you can push him once you have contact on him. Normally you see a piece of shirt being held or an arm wrapped around it.
3rd and 20. Testaverde with a lot of time. Now he's going to try to run. Dolman chasing him. Gets away across the 50 down to the 48-yard line. But it will be well shy of the first down. And here comes the punt team.
Good decision by Vinny Testaverde. I mean, he's playing with his head tonight as well as his arm. Watch him go back into the coverage. They're in a double zone. Now they slide back. We stop it right there. You see the deployment. See how everybody's got somebody? You don't want to throw it here because the ball traveled too far and you wind up getting hit by the safety.
Royals on to kick. Leo Lewis waiting at the 10. Lewis signals fair catch and makes it inside the 10-yard line. So Royals, with a 39-yard punt, has done his job again. And the Vikings pinned deep in their own territory with 5 seconds to go in the third quarter. A lot of action today in the NFL. Let's take a look at how the results of today's game update the standings. The division leaders, the Redskins, of course, have clinched 13-1. They have the home field advantage. The Bears fighting the Lions in the Central. They're 10-4. And Atlanta has now taken control in the West over New Orleans because they have a better division record and would win any tiebreaker against the faltering Saints.
Got to give a lot of credit to Jerry Glanville and his staff. They have coached that football team. They've made them believe they can win.
Haven't they ever? Vinny is the only running back. Anthony Carter will get it on the end around. Beautiful job of following his blockers and has the first down to the 21. Nice run by Anthony Carter, who has carried the ball 13 times this year. End of the quarter, it's a 6-point game. Welcome back to Tampa. You said at the beginning of the telecast, of course, Tampa wants to win as a franchise. Vinny wants to win as a quarterback. The question is, can they do it together? Does tonight shed any light on it?
I think it does. I think what's happening tonight is we saw some drop passes that haven't helped Vinny. I think he's played within himself. He's not trying to do it all by himself. Some great catch by Dawsey, great catch by Ron Hall. I really think that what this football team needs offensively is they need somebody who can just flat run. They need some speed outside. That helps the quarterback out. Got a good running back in Reggie Cobb. Offensive line is starting to come together. Of course, Vinny only has 1 year left on his contract, so that always makes people wonder as well.
Terry Allen, the setback behind Rich Gannon. Allen will get the carry. He's wrapped up by Red Hall, the rookie out of California. 6th-round draft choice this year.
Herschel, of course, has posted the big numbers tonight because he had the 71-yard touchdown run, which helps. But same time, little slashing runner, likes to run outside, but can run inside.
He missed his rookie year because of reconstructive knee surgery. He had a knee injury at Clemson. Came out of Clemson, South Carolina as a junior.
You take a look at the average, 5.8 yards every time he touches the football.
Nice play action by Gannon. Has to unload in a hurry, and it's complete to Jordan up to the 38. Another first down. Marty Carter, the safety, made the stop.
When you play an over and under defense, the middle linebacker will go for the fake. That's Jesse Solomon. Watch what he does when the fake goes this way. He's going to move this way. Gannon's going to come out. Then he'll be able to hit the linebacker. There goes the fake. There goes the reaction of the middle linebacker. Now that you see the tight end come behind him and get into the open space.
Jordan has been a class act for a lot of years. That's 5 straight Pro Bowls. Allen again. Mark it at the 43. Gain of about 5. Jesse Solomon again on the tackle. Well, it's a long season when you only have 2 victories. They'd love to get one more at home and quiet the Boo Birds a little bit.
Rob Taylor out of Northwestern. They drafted Charles McCray, and Rob was a little ticked off at the fact that they said, hey, look, we're finally going to get 2 good tackles, and it inspired him. And, you know, he's playing well. Says hi to his mom. Good young man.
Kept his job. Gannon quick out, and Herschel went in and zipped it right past his helmet.
These are very similar offenses when you look at them. The Vikings put Herschel Walker out as a wide receiver. Tampa Bay puts Gary Anderson out there. They've got Cobb. They pound him inside. And they give the ball to Morris. Mark Trestman sending in the play.
Well, this year, the Vikings virtually have 3 offensive coordinators. Last year, they had 4.
Well, they're working their way down. But Trestman, more than an offensive coordinator. Now, he is connected upstairs to Tom Moore and sending the plays in. Because he was the offensive coordinator at Cleveland a couple years ago.
3rd and 4. Some confusion on the Bucs defense. They go with the draw, and Nelson has the first down at the 49. A couple of the Bucs pointing at each other like, you take this guy, I'll take that guy, just as the ball was snapped.
Number 55, Jesse Solomon, as you see him, right in the middle. He goes one way, Nelson goes the other. It's go where they ain't time. That's the way it is on the draw. They make the blitz. We talk about Floyd Peters. What happens is he's going to commit linebackers to rushing. Sometimes they're going to throw the backs for 5-yard losses. Sometimes they're going to break big plays.
Again, dives inside the 40 to the 39. Ricky Reynolds cut his legs out from under him.
Rich Gannon is able to execute the plays that he's able to execute because they're running the football. You'll see the action here. You'll see Jordan come across. But watch the defense react. Watch, we can't start this way and come back up. He starts up, starts in. Did you see the reaction of the defense? And then there's that little soft area that's created when the linebackers move into cover.
1st and 10 Vikings. Herschel Walker back in as the tailback. And he'll get the call. Walker for about 2. Kevin Murphy, 6-year veteran out of Oklahoma, in on the stop along with Marty Carter. Of course, college basketball, more coming your way with a doubleheader Saturday night, 7:30. UConn against Texas, and a 9:30. Number 20, DePaul. They've suffered a couple of disappointing early season losses against number 10, Kansas.
Kansas?
Kansas. Clock ticking down to 10:45 left to go in the game. 2nd and 8 Vikings. The official agrees.
Before the snap, false start, number 65 of the offense, 5 yards, still 2nd down.
Gary Zimmerman.
Talk about different offensive lines in the National Football League, but this offensive line for the Vikings has been extremely solid over the years. Zimmerman at 6 years, McDaniel, of course, in his 4th. Loudermilk at center, just a real anchor there. Todd Kalis out of Arizona State as well, played with McDaniel there, and Tim Irwin at the right tackle.
And they're not big like a lot of offensive lines. The 3 guys on the left side get 270. 2nd and 13, draw to Allen. Lost his footing and went down at the 38-yard line. Thomas was there to make sure he didn't go any further.
This is the 3rd down that the Bucs defense is going to have to make the play on if they're going to give the ball back to the offense with a chance to work. You got to figure the offense is going to have 2, maybe 3 possessions if they can stop them here. This is where somebody has to come up with a play. This is what Floyd's looking for. Given the signals, looking for somebody to make a play on defense. Of course, Richie Gannon looking for somebody on his offense to make the play.
3rd and 9. The Vikings all year have not run for anything this far on 3rd down, so you expect them to throw. Gannon does. A little quick screen out to Jordan. Had a man in front of him, but a great play by Covington to come over and make the stop along with Reynolds, and they saved the first down. Give up good field position. And Fuad Reveiz comes on the field. He's hit 2 of 3 tonight, both long. Excuse me, 3 of 4. Missed from 49. This would be 50. And it's good. Big night for Fuad Reveiz. And Minnesota is up by 9. Down by 9. The offensive line of the Vikings did the range, and now the Tampa Bay offense is going to need to score twice in this game with 8:37 left. Gary Anderson standing in the end zone, waiting on Reveiz to kick off. Alonzo Highsmith and Robert Hardy waiting at the 8, flanking him. It's only the 3rd time this year a kicker's had 2 50-yarders in a game. Another good kickoff. And Anderson thinks better of it, 5 yards deep. If you just joined us, let's catch you up on the scoring. It was all Vikings early. Reveiz started this thing with a 50-yard field goal to make it 3-0. Bucks came back. Christie hit one from 40 yards to tie it, and then Minnesota got a 71-yard burst from Walker, a 5-yard catch from the tight end Jones to go up 17-3. Reveiz made it 20-3, could have blown it out, except Tampa Bay came back at the end of the first half and scored, then scored again the first position of the 3rd quarter. Reveiz has kicked 2 field goals, and we stand at 26-17. Saleh to Cobb. Not much there. Ray Berry, the middle linebacker, along with Merriweather and some help waiting inside the 20.
The Bucs have just not been able to run the football effectively, and they're going to stay in this hurry-up offense of theirs, which seems to give them a rhythm.
Testaverde throws complete to Carrier near midfield. Cut down by Wright, covered by Rutland, a 30-yard gain. And Joe, you're right. That pass.
I got to be honest with you, if I'm the Minnesota Vikings, Mike, sooner or later, I got to feel like if I'm Felix Wright, he's going to throw the ball to Mark Carrier because he's only thrown it there like 6 of the last 7 times, and Carrier keeps coming either wide open or close to open.
You go stand on a number 25 yards downfield.
Say, hey, stop Carrier, guys. Make him go someplace else.
Testaverde deep near sideline. Dorsey couldn't hold it. Oh, that's a great play by Carl Lee. Dorsey appeared to have the ball, and Lee got a hand in there and ripped it out.
Carl Lee's had his share of Pro Bowls. There they are battling, just incidental contact. Dorsey does an excellent job of concentrating. He would have had it. Carl Lee just strips it from him.
Great play. Out of Marshall. 2nd and 10 for the Bucs. Near sideline to Anderson. He is wrapped up. He'll only get a gain of about 3 on that one. Audrey McMillan made the stop, so it would be 3rd and call it 6 for Richard Williamson and his offense.
Bucs making some substitutions, getting some fresh receivers in.
Three-man rush, trying to get the first down, and it will be about a yard shy as Carrier dove for the sticks. Carl Lee made the tackle, and Richard Williamson doesn't hesitate.
I mean, there's absolutely no question whatsoever. I think Richard Williamson has got his ball club really ready to play. And I got to be honest with you, when you've got nothing on the line, like your team is 2-11, to get him to come out and play with this kind of intensity is a heck of a coaching job.
It sure is. He's had them pumped up tonight. They'll call a timeout and talk about the 4th down play. Richard Williamson got this job a year ago from the fired Ray Perkins. His first coaching assignment was to play Minnesota and beat them. Trying to duplicate it again tonight. This is really the first year of his 2-year contract. He would like to have the second year to prove what he can do here, and I frankly think he has earned the opportunity.
I think it's tough to ask a guy, to come in. Of course, a lot of speculation about whether Bill Parcells will get this job or who might get the job. Like I say, when you turn over half your football team in a couple of years, it's tough to ask a guy to get it done right away.
Game on the line here, 4th and 1. Bucks need 2 scores. Cobb, first down. This kid is tough. He's down to the 37-yard line.
Well, they're getting some people to make some plays now. We saw Tony Covington stop Steve Jordan on the 3rd down play on defense against Minnesota's offense. Now Cobb comes in, picks up the crucial 4th down.
Here's the hurry up. Testaverde with 287 yards passing has not had a 300-yard game this year. He needs to get one to keep his club in the game. Dawsey makes the catch at the 22. Carl Lee all over him, but Vinny Testaverde fit it in there.
I'd like to cast a vote for All-Pro. Lawrence Dawsey, at least All-Rookie.
He's been tough.
Boy, he is something. That's my little Santa. I'm going to send that over to Santa.
Clock running, 5:42 left in the game. For the end zone, Dawsey, touchdown, excuse me. How many times have you seen the underthrown ball result in a score?
Reggie Rutland has been in Mark Carrier's hip pocket all night. That time, both of them stayed on their feet. Carrier does an excellent job making the play. Number 88, the inside receiver. This is all Vinny's thrown all night, it seems. Carrier just does an excellent job of making a play on the ball.
And Carrier has his 14th 100-yard game of his career. The point after is good. And Testaverde is thrown for 324 yards and 2 touchdowns. Well, it's a close game. It must be Sunday night on ESPN.
This is where you can find one. You know that Tampa Bay has scored 12 TDs in 1991. 10 of them come in the 4th quarter, and all of Testaverde's touchdown passes have come in the 4th quarter.
Vikings return this one to about the 27-yard line. Pat Eilers, backed up safety, picked up the short kick. Let's take a look at Levi's tomorrow's headline. The Oilers, for the first time since the merger, have won a division title. John Elway, a good day, and the Broncos are into the playoffs. The Super Bowl champions eliminated. The Giants are out. The Saints lose their 4th straight. The Redskins will have the home field advantage throughout the playoffs. And Norwood with a field goal to win in overtime for the Buffalo Bills. And the Raiders thought they had it won. And I don't blame them. Vikings, 5:25 to go in the game. They'd like to work on the clock, and now Gannon wants to hit Herschel. Couldn't hold it. Almost a circus catch. There's a flag down on the play back at the 25.
Richie Gannon may run a little pump and go. He gets it exactly where he needs it. We saw the Tampa Bay Buccaneers try to match up.
He used the hands to the face, number 64.
Still learning how to play the game. Excellent job. Herschel just can't quite hold on to it.
Randall McDaniel called, so they mark it at the 19-yard line, 1st and 20. Boy, that was a nice call by the Vikings. They almost pull off a huge play. Allen trying to get it outside, and the Bucs close on him. Great play by Ricky Reynolds. And these fans who have suffered for years, hoping their team can pull one out here. Well, they've played tough at home. We mentioned it before. But playing tough and losing may be worse than getting blown out. You need to win some.
It really is. These are the kind of games. Richard Williamson told us on Friday. These are the kind of football games that his team needs to win to get them over the hump. You got to remember, Darrell Grant, Dexter Manley, and Jesse Solomon are the only 3 guys that have been on this football team, and Tim Newton are 4 that have really been to the playoffs. A lot of these guys don't even know what it's like to win that big.
A lot of these guys don't know what it's like to win 6 games. Gannon. And they run him out of bounds. Tim Newton, injured earlier, just would not stop hustling and buddy. And Floyd is pumped.
He's going to give Newt a little blow. He knows how tired he is. He gets Gerald Nichols in the game, number 77, for Tim Newton, just to give him a chance to catch his breath.
Vikings have not converted a 3rd and long tonight, and here it's 3rd and 21. Screen. Nelson can't hold it. And this is about as loud as 40,000 people can be.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have worked themselves into a position where they have the opportunity to make something happen. They have an opportunity to get in field goal range or possibly score and go ahead in this game.
Vikings need a big punt, and Newsom leads the NFL. Drury waits at his own 35. They came hard, didn't get there, and Newsom hit a cannon. Back to the 25 goes Drury. Slip. And gets a couple, that's all. Return of 2 after a 57-yard shot from Harry Newsom. Of course, next Saturday, the NFL will start Saturday play throughout the league, so we will have a special edition of NFL Game Day. And then, of course, the normal game day, noon Eastern on Sunday, followed by prime time at 7 o'clock with highlights of all the games. And we will be in Indianapolis for Buffalo and the Colts, and if history is any indication, that too will go down to the wire, although I'm sure that would surprise the Buffalo Bills.
Oh, are we predicting now?
Dexter with a big smile as the defense did its job, and Testaverde takes over at the 27. Play action. Complete to Hall, and he struggles forward to the 34-yard line.
Ever since the 2-minute warning of this first half, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have not been in a huddle. They've just lined up and gone after it. But they're going to have to come back now. They got a player down.
Grew up in Canada and went to grade school with Alonzo Highsmith, in fact. Testaverde with an outstanding night. 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, only a couple of ill-advised throws times without having a couple of ill-advised.
Time in the run and shoot.
Sure.
A lot of times the ball goes on the ground, but they've also made some great plays. Vinny, last week after another defeat, went to Richard Williamson and said, hey, look, I'd like to call my own plays. He hasn't done it. Coach Williamson hasn't let him do it. But operating the 2-minute offense is as close to you get.
That's right.
I mean, it's not been complicated. It's been run Mark Carrier in the seam and throw him the ball.
Williamson, it was funny. We talked to him about all the speculation about him losing his job, about watching television, reading the newspapers. He says, I read the front page of USA Today.
No television, no newspapers. Normally, if somebody says something, someone will come and tell me, but he says, I don't go looking for it.
Ian Beckles able to walk off under his own power. The Vikings have not been a fourth-quarter defense. They are last in the league, giving up 110 points. Right now, the Bucs only need 3. 2nd and 4. Testaverde throws and can't hit Anderson. McMillan was right out there with him anyway. Vinny doesn't look terribly comfortable with that bootleg action.
Well, it's not his forte. I mean, he's a drop-back passer. You want to move him a little bit occasionally. But, you know, there's no sense in trying to make him run around too much. That was an excellent play, by the way, by John Randall, number 93 of the Vikings. He forced Vinny to throw it a lot earlier than he wanted to. And they're really in a 2-down situation here. I mean, they've got to pick up. You know, they can use third and fourth down. I don't believe they can afford to punt the ball away and hope to get an opportunity to try and make it happen on their last drive of the game.
They have 2 timeouts left if they do choose to punt. 3rd and 4 here. How much they get on this may determine whether they go for it. Testaverde deep sideline. Drury ran a shorter pattern and pulled up. This one's incomplete. 3:13 to go. Now it's decision time for Williams.
You know, when you got 3rd down and 3, I still believe that the place to go with the football is to your back out of the backfield or a tight end. I don't think throwing the ball to one of the wideouts really gets it done. It's a tougher throw, and there's too much that can happen bad.
I think this is a good decision to go for the punt. If you turn the ball over here, Reveiz has a chance to kick another field goal, and it's a 5-point game.
And they have 2 timeouts left, so, you know, they can use them if they can stop them.
Need a good kick from Royals. That's Leo Lewis waiting at his own 25-yard line. Vikings don't rush. They play it for the return. Not a terribly good kick, but Lewis can't get there, and it will take a Buccaneer bounce inside the 30 to the 28. 39-yard kick with the roll.
You know, you throw if you have to on 3rd down and long, but I don't think you do. Richie Gannon, very good athlete. If he has to scramble around and make a play for you, that's something he can do.
Sports Center coming up after our broadcast. We'll take a look at the Giants being eliminated, the Bills and the Raiders, that championship rematch, which was a much better game than last year. And all the baseball news in prime time following Sports Center. 1st and 10, Minnesota. Herschel in at tailback. Gaping hole up the middle, carrying Fullington with him to the 39. It looks like he's got another 1st down. And that means Tampa Bay cannot use one of those 2 timeouts right now. They have to wait till the next play. Storyline from Tampa Stadium, where about 40,000 fans have seen their team play it tough, even though they've been outrushed by more than 200 yards. Reveiz with 4 field goals, 2 from 50 yards. Testaverde, his best passing game of the year, and Herschel Walker with 1 over 70 yards for a touchdown, has more than 100. Testaverde hoping for one more chance. 2:18 and counting. It is the 1st down for the Vikings. Herschel again. Cuts it outside. Nice run by Walker. Gets about 8. And the 2-minute warning is coming up. But Tampa Bay burns a timeout before the 2-minute warning with 2:02.
I don't agree with that one. I don't think that was the time to call the timeout. You're 2 seconds from the 2-minute warning. The reason why is it's 2nd down and 4. If they happen to pick the 1st down up, you'd use it right after that. Now, if they pick the 1st down up, they automatically get the clock stopped at 1st and 10, and you only have 1 timeout left. I don't agree with that situation right there.
Herschel Walker, 126 yards tonight on 16 carries. Since the trade was made in October of 1989, Walker is the 9th leading rusher in the NFL. I know that's a little skewed because of it's not from the first of the year to the end of the year, but he has not done what Minnesota's front office had hoped he would do. They brought him in. They said that was the link to the Super Bowl. But you bring in an I formation tailback and not run him in the eye, he was not the link to the Super Bowl.
They did not bring Herschel Walker to this football team to gain a lot of yardage, Mike. He was brought in. I talked to Mike Lynn about it. Mike Lynn felt like he needed that pounding back in short yardage situations to make it happen. He went out and got Herschel Walker to be the pounding back out of the eye in short yardage to pick up that crucial yardage.
How can you trade 38-some players?
I don't know. He's got glasses. There's Mike Lynn looking at the field glasses. We'll have to ask him. I mean, what the deal basically did to the franchise, the Minnesota Vikings, is it made it tough for anybody coming in here, and it's going to make it tough for the decade of the 90s, at least the first half of it, to replenish older players.
Sure will. 2nd and a long 2. Alfred Anderson gets the inside handoff and maybe a half yard. Now the 2-minute warning will stop the clock again, and Tampa Bay still has one timeout left. They'll be facing a 3rd and 1. 2-point game, less than 2 minutes to go. Jerry Burns made his decision this week to step down. Richard Williamson will have the decision made for him as to whether he will retain his job. Minnesota needs the win to come to 7-7 and stay in the hunt for the playoff.
There's still that opportunity for him. You know, this particular, the Bucs are going to be up there to try and stop the run. You run a little play action, you pick the first down up, and you basically ice the game. 3rd and about 1.5 yards. Gannon bootleg, he's got it. 30. Gannon to the 12. Almost the same thing. It certainly works. Richie Gannon has so much talent, but I mean, when you got a young team, they're fighting to get up to the game, they're fighting towards the end. What happens is you run the play action, you know they're going to chase the ball, and then you just let your quarterback keep it. What he's going to do, watch these guys run and chase the back. Gannon's going to come out, and there's going to be nobody home. This is the one thing Floyd Peters was afraid of. He says, young guys sometimes leave the back door open. That time, they left the back door unlocked, they left it open, and they gave the thief the key, just in case he thought it was locked.
Gannon, 41 yards, his longest run of the season, a first down, and the clock is running. And Gannon will kneel down. The Vikings have rushed for 299 yards. And that is the 3rd best this team has ever had. Big smile on the face of Rich Gannon. He's run for 63 himself. Herschel over 100. Terry Allen's had a good night. Now, these are good cable fans. They brought their own banner promoting SportsCenter.
That's right, Bob.
Way to go,
Dan
guys.
Patrick coming up. Of course, some people agree with my feelings about instant replay. Obviously, the league doesn't. Vinny Testaverde has played well tonight. I mean, Vinny Testaverde can go into that locker room with his head held high, and he can look at his teammates and say, we really gave it an effort. He's got nothing to be embarrassed about. Now he has to concern himself over the next couple of weeks, what his future's going to be, who will be the coach here.
He threw for 330 yards tonight, did not have an interception, had several drop. I mean, he really had quite a night and could have easily won the ball game.
I'm going to make a prediction. This guy here is going to come on strong in the next couple years, and we're all going to say, hey, that's not the Vinny Testaverde we remember. This kid can play.
Either here or somewhere else. And now the Buccaneers cannot stop the clock any longer. They've used their last timeout, and Gannon will have to kneel down one more time. So the Buccaneers will drop to 2-12. Minnesota will go to 7-7. And Richard Williamson talking there with his defensive coordinator on another night that might have been.
I know it's no consolation to Richard Williamson and his staff and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that they didn't quite get it done when they had to. They had the opportunity, they got the ball back, and were unable to make it happen.
Final play coming up. They have played so tough at home this year and not been able to pull out enough of the games that they had a chance to win. Once again, our final score from Tampa, the Vikings 26, the Bucs 24. For Joe Theismann and our entire ESPN crew, this is Mike Patrick. Good night from Tampa. SportsCenter is next after this message.
Well, hello, welcome to the show. Along with Bob Lee, I'm Dan Patrick. Sunday afternoon, New York Giant fans were chanting, "Ray must go." And they didn't mean go to the playoffs, as the mess continues.
Not quite exactly what they meant. Which team do you think would be ticketed for January? The one that's had 5 different quarterbacks this year? Or the one with the Super Bowl trophy and only 2 quarterbacks? Wrong. The Eagles season, that's been one long catch-up since the first minutes when Randall Cunningham went down. But Philly rallied to make a serious wild card run, and the Giants are making a run for the golf course today in New Jersey. Giants took the early lead in this game against their foes from the East, 7-3 on a Phil Simms to Dave Meggett throw. 3rd and goal, second quarter, they do it again. Simms, who was 7 of 23, to Meggett, 14-3 Giants. exultation. It got even worse for the Eagles, trailing by 11 late in the second quarter. Lorenzo Freeman, the nose tackle, lands heavily on McMahon. Rib cartilage damage. McMahon has to leave the game. A chance for the Giants, so they capitalize. Howard Cross fumble. The Eagles have it. And Jeff Kemp enters the game with a very efficient 10 of 19. Stares down the blitz. Finds Calvin Williams. It ain't pretty, but it's a touchdown. 14-10 Philly at halftime. 2 Ruzek field goals giving the Eagles the lead in the second half. Matt Barr missed twice for the Giants. That from 32 yards. The Giants lose another one. The pain, the frustration ever evident, and the chance after the game of Ray must go. 19-14, the Eagles beating the Super Bowl champs. 6 straight wins now for the Eagles. The longest current win streak in the league, the longest Philly streak in 10 years. The Eagle D came into this game leading the league in total D, rushing D, passing D, sacks, and fumble recoveries. McMahon, by the way, will miss next week. He's got the bruised rib cartilage. He'll be hospitalized. Might miss the season finale against the Redskins. The Eagles host the Cowboys next week. After this game, Ray Handley said, I have seen this game film before.
Seemed like today's game was the epitome of our entire season. Couldn't take advantage of the opportunities that we were given. Couldn't execute in the red zone. Turned the ball over. Had penalties at the wrong time. That's what it's been all year long. That was it again today.
It doesn't make any difference, you know, who we beat from now on. I don't care if they're the Super Bowl champions or the last place team in the league. You know, our main objective is just to win these games and get to the playoffs. And it doesn't matter who it is along the way that we have to beat to get there.
And Seth Joyner with those comments. The Eagle D has been the key in the last brace of meetings with the Giants. Giants had 3 more turnovers today. The Eagles had 1. Philly had their best team rushing day, 151 yards for this year, limiting the Giants to the Giants' lowest offensive output of the year. That same number, 151. The Giants had only 67 rushing yards. The Eagle D means a Giant defeat, and the Giants knew if the Falcons beat the Rams, the Giants would be eliminated. Lots of elbow room for the big guy. Anaheim half empty. First quarter, Tracy Eaton blocks the new punter, Barry Hilton. Tracy Johnston recovers. Falcons' 3rd block punt of the year. It set up one of 2 Steve Broussard TDs. Atlanta's up 17-7 when Chris Miller finds Andre Rison. Miller 19 of 28 for nearly 300 yards. It's 24-7. And then Miller to Michael Haynes in the 3rd quarter, who had 9 receptions. Haynes for 112 yards. It was a blowout. 31-14. Atlanta's won 4 in a row. They are 6-0 against California teams this year. The Rams have lost 8 straight games. Atlanta's Brian Jordan had an interception and 2 sacks. Everett threw for just 109 yards. He was sacked 3 times and lost a fumble. The Falcons host the Seahawks, and they close with Dallas. So the Super Bowl champs are eliminated. That's the 8th time that has happened the following season. The Giants didn't make the playoffs after their first Super Bowl title. That was a strike year, as was '82 when the defending champion 49ers went south that year in '83. The Niners that year won only 3 games. Hey, the Niners, the NFC finalists, they had to win today in Seattle. Steve Young ready maybe next week. Steve Bono got the call again today, trailing 6-0 second quarter. He was 25 of 44. Where's Jerry Rice? He's got it. Wayne Harper, the doubly effective tackle. Later on that drive, Bono rolling, finding Harry Sidney. 7-6, the Niners on top. And with that lead, John Taylor, the Normer punt returner, getting a breather. Kevin Lewis on the punt return, muffs it. James Jones has it for the Seahawks, and the turnovers, George Seifert, would get even worse. Cortez Kennedy would force a Bono fumble. Dexter Carter would fumble on a kickoff return. 16 Seattle points on 5 San Francisco turnovers. Looking for a miracle for the Niners. They're down 5, a minute to go. Bono to John Taylor. A brutal hit by Eugene Robinson, but 2 big passes to Taylor in that drive, and a 24-22 late victory for San Francisco. 4 straight victories now with Bono as the starter. He'll probably start next week. Dave Craig, by the way, committed his 107th career fumble. That's an NFL record. And when Taylor and Rice catch TD passes as they did today, San Francisco is 17-1. The Niners play KC in Chicago the last 2 weeks. That other Bono's running for the Senate. This one could be mayor of San Francisco. He needs a team next year, maybe this one. His first 3 career starts were strike replacement games for the Steelers in '87. Lost his first start this year to New Orleans. In his last 4, you see the difference. In his last 4 this year, 7 TDs and only 3 interceptions. Saints spiraling downward in a hurry, and the resurgent Cowboys. Troy Aikman, a backup to Dave. Steve Berline, 17 of 29. Darryl Johnston catches it. 7-0 Dallas, a 78-yard drive on their first possession. Saints coming back, down 6. Steve Walsh to Hobie Brenner. Nice catch at the 20-back drive. Middle of the 4th quarter, eludes Ricky Jackson's rush. Finds Michael Irvin for 19 yards. Fakes out everybody, including the guy on camera, too. And then a 4-yard TD run by Tommy Agee, not the Met. And the Cowboys win it 23-14. A 100-yard day for Emmitt Smith. Michael Irvin passing Bob Hayes for receiving yards in a year. And Herschel Walker for a number of catches in a year. Great game for Dallas. The Saints have lost 4 straight. Troy Cook, by the way, broken arm. Saints and the Falcons tied at 9-5, and the Saints would lose a divisional tiebreak. Cowboys also 9-5. Saints play next Monday, host the Raiders. The Cowboys will be in Philly the last week. The Saints are in Phoenix. Cowboys have a biggie with Atlanta. Saints are in a funk as deep and as muddy as the river that runs through their fair city.
I don't know what it is, man, that we're doing wrong. It's just things are just not clicking for us, and right now it's just hard to put a finger on how bad things are going for us.
Well, when you give the ball to Emmitt Smith, if you're a Dallas Cowboy fan, if you give it to him 20 times and you watch him gain 100 yards, it's an absolute barometer of how this team is going. Today, 27 carries, 112 yards. Emmitt's played 30 games for Dallas, and they're over 500 in those games. In the 30 games before Mr. Smith went to Irving, the Cowboys just won 3 games, and already he is the 7th all-time Dallas rusher. Dan.
To the AFC, where the Raiders silver and black took on a shade of black and blue during their 2 previous encounters with the Buffalo Bills. L.A. was beat up by 48 points in last year's much publicized AFC title game, and by 14 last year during Week 5. So Sunday afternoon, Raider coach Art Shell sent out his defense once again to try to slow down the league's #1 offense to the Coliseum, a near-capacity Coliseum, and it's the Raiders' offense. Schrader with the pump fake, hits Tim Brown, and Mark Kelso can't bring him down. The Raiders would lead it 10-0 in the first quarter. On the ensuing kickoff, Al Edwards single-handedly trying to bring the Buffalo Bills back and put them on the scoreboard. He gets a great block from Steve Tasker coming out right there. 91 yards later, it's 10-7. Raiders led at 21-14 at the break. Fourth quarter, Raiders down by 7, a minute to go. Kelly, James Lofton were tied at 27. It would get worse for Art Shell. After a Raider interception, Scott Norwood, no. Third missed field goal, also missed an extra point. Why did it get bad for Art Shell? It got worse because Scott Norwood would get another chance. 42-yarder. The Bills win it. The Levy shuffle. He finally gets a field goal from Mr. Norwood when it counts the most. 30-27 the winner. Kelly with the big numbers on the day. As for Thurman Thomas, held to 57 yards on 15 carries. He did have 7 receptions. Next week, Buffalo will be at Indy. The Raiders will be in New Orleans. Following the game, Norwood talked about his game winner.
That was the toughest day I've ever had, kicking the football, and you just try to separate your next kick and take it for what it is. If there's something to figure it out, and there was, my final assessment was I had to be a bit more aggressive and keep my head down a little better than I had been, and that's what I did on the final kick and worked out there.
Not much breathing room there. Coming up a little later on during Sports Center, we will bring you our Sunday evening conversation with Buffalo defensive tackle Bruce Smith. After failing in their 2 previous games to clinch the Central, the Oilers tried for a third. This one did. Haywood Jeffries, 17-3 Oilers. Moon, 23 of 36, 254 yards in a score. And then the defense took over. Lamar Lathan with the sack. And Al Smith picks up the loose ball, 70 yards for the score. Huffing and puffing and saying, thank God it wasn't 71 yards. And Moon connects again. With Jack Pardee, the AFC Central Division champs, 31-6, the final Pittsburgh loss for the 7th time in their last 9 games. Gary Anderson became the 19th player in the league to score 1,000 points in his career. Next week, the Oilers are in Cleveland. The Steelers will host the Bengals. Following the game, the Oilers talked about the clincher.
Satisfied. I mean, that's the best words to use right now. It really feels sweet. Finally get this championship part of it over with. It was a very tough week for me, and it's been a very tough couple of weeks, but made it through.
The Chiefs try to stay in the chase for the AFC West. Steve DeBerg, a rough day. Donald Frank will take it back 71 yards. The Chargers led it 14-0. Third quarter, Chargers QB John Freeze, also having his share of problems, gets sacked, tries to throw the ball away after review, further review. The Chiefs got the ball at the 1 where Derek Thomas had recovered it. He couldn't advance it. Barry Word scored. It was 17-10. DeBerg benched at halftime. Mark Vlasic, the former Charger QB. Harvey Williams 17-14 Chiefs lead. DeBerg celebrating. Chargers forced overtime. They would get great field position following the downing of this punt, and then they would get the punt back, and they would be in great position because Barry Word would explode up the middle for 28 yards. 3:34 left in overtime. The always reliable Nick Lowry for the game winner. Good 19 yards away. Chiefs win it 20-17. Improved to 9-5. The Chargers drop to 3-11. Their third straight loss. They fall to 1-7 on the road. Vlasic, who replaced DeBerg, went 12 of 18. A very economical 150 yards next week. The Chiefs are in San Francisco. The Chargers will host the Dolphins.
Baseball news. One trade Sunday and many rumors in the lobbies and the halls of the Fontainebleau Hotel in Miami. The Major League winter meetings. Now the Phillies sent 34-year-old Von Hayes to the Angels for two top minor league prospects today. Pitcher Kyle Abbott and outfielder Ruben Amaro Jr. Hayes slotted to replace Dave Winfield in right. Broken right arm rendering 1991 a lost cause for Hayes. Had no homers in that year. .225 average. He also could end up at first base if the Angels part company with free agent Wally Joyner, which at this point seems likely. Whitey Herzog is going as Angels general manager. He also today, we understand, the hotel lobby directed a profane tirade at the agent for Bobby Bonilla and Danny Tarnable. We'll have more on that coming up ahead when we check live with Chris Myers and Peter Gammons.
Which is just the beginning, as plenty more lurks ahead on this Sports Center.
Still to come, it's the Cardinals and Redskins from Phoenix as the Cards find out there's another player named Sanders in this league. The Bears, without their number 1 running back, ask number 2 to try harder against the pack. It's a weekly affair in Foxborough, another wire job for the Patriots. The Silverdome has spelled doom for Detroit opponents this year. Sunday, it was the Jets' turn. We will speak with Bruce Smith of the Buffalo Bills about football in the fast lane.
Anybody that says that football players make too much money, they are sick.
It was a light night in the NBA, but Mr. Robinson took his neighbors into Milwaukee to face the struggling Bucks. In the NHL, the Flames and Sabres stage a battle to the finish. And we will go to the hoop in the Plays of the Week.
Sports Center is brought to you by Bud Dry. Dry brewed so it drinks light, yet satisfies completely.
Welcome back to Sports Center. The Buccaneers have been in the gift-giving mood all season long. Tampa has committed a league-high 39 turnovers. But on Sunday night, all they wanted to give the Vikings was a hard time.
Yeah, earlier, of course, in the week, Minnesota coach Jerry Burns announcing that this season would be his last, but will it be a playoff season? Chris Berman joins us to recap this Central Division tilt.
Sunday night football from the Big Sombrero they call Tampa Stadium, between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Minnesota Vikings. Vikings with a flickering playoff chances still alive. The Buccaneers, though, hey, they've been tough at home. They beat Philly. They beat Detroit. Maybe not a marquee game, but if it's on ESPN Sunday Night Football, you know it had to be close, and that's exactly what we had. Jerry Burns, Richard Williamson. Probably the same time we'll see them at the same field at the same time. First quarter, Herschel, Walker, 71 yards. Herschel had 16 carries for $126 on the night. The Vikings led at 10-3. Vinny Testaverde played pretty well. They scored about 8 touchdowns the last 20 seconds of the first half. They all were called back except this one. Vinny to Jesse Anderson. Bucks within 10, 20-10. Fuad Rebase had a pair of 50-yard field goals, had 2 other field goals on the night. Bill Parcells, is he coming? Well, we're not sure, but we know that Tampa scored late to make it close, naturally, and the Vikings beat the Buccaneers 26-24. The Vikings ran for 296 yards, most they've had as a team rushing in 65. Young Fran Tarkenton at quarterback, Bill Brown, the young legs back then. All right, let's join Joe Theismann now, and Joe, you and Mike, of course, call the game. Herschel Walker, Vinny Testaverde, fairly maligned players, yet they both delivered tonight, didn't they?
I'd say fairly maligned, Chris, I think is an understatement, to be honest with you. Herschel Walker will be a free agent at the end of this year, but yet he goes out. You give him the football, he performs. And that's really all he said constantly is, give me a chance. Don't criticize me. Give me an opportunity. I'll prove I'm worth it. But the question is, will he be in Minnesota? He could be one of those people that if they sign and market, maybe you can get something for him. I don't think Herschel Walker is going to be in a Minnesota Viking uniform next year. Vinny Testaverde, he's not sure whether he wants to stay in Tampa Bay. They're not sure whether they want him. He's got 1 year left on his contract. I think that if a new coach comes in here, and I think it should be Richard Williamson, I think he deserves the opportunity, that Vinny Testaverde will start to blossom. He needs some stability, not only around him, but in the organization. I think he will be back.
Joe, once again, a close one, so you know that even though it doesn't look like it's possible next week, it'll go down to the wire. Your streak
Anything
is
is possible. Anything is possible.
I've learned that. All right, we'll see you next week from the Hoosier Dome.
You bet, Chris.
All right, Joe Theismann, Mike Patrick on the call tonight. Next weekend, we begin double duty. Game day, special Saturday edition. That's coming up the next 4 weeks. Game day Saturday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern. Then the regular hour at noon on Sunday, and, of course, primetime at 7 at night. And then we pig out with who else? The Indianapolis Colts. At 8 o'clock Eastern time, they will host the Buffalo Bills. If the Bills win this game, they'll clinch home field throughout the playoffs. But that's next week. We have more of this week. Week 15, a wild one it was. Let's go back to Dan.
Thank you, Chris. This season has been full of highs and lows for the Redskins. Washington has scored an NFL high 409 points while surrendering an NFL low 169 points. The Skins have already clinched the NFC East, but a win over the Cardinals on Sunday would clinch the home field advantage throughout the playoffs. Washington was a 2-touchdown favorite at Sun Devil Stadium. A capacity crowd, not exactly. Skins rough first half. Brian Mitchell, who has been excellent on the special teams, coughs up the ball. Steve Heitch recovers the ball for the Cardinals. That set up one of 2 Johnny Johnson TDs. Well, Joe Bugle used to be an assistant coach with the Skins, taking a 14-point lead into halftime. Mark Rippon answers. They dominated in the second half. Play action, a wide-open Terry Orr. 14-7 Cardinals led it. Later in the third, Rippon, Ricky Sanders. Rippon, 2 touchdowns on the day. We're tied at 14. Fourth quarter, still tied at 14. Chip Low-Miller, 42 yards away. It's 17-14 Skins. They would tack on another field goal as the Joes walk off the field. Bugle and Joe Gibbs, 20-14 the final. And the Redskins have been dominating in the second half this year. They have outscored opponents 429 to 183. Biner, 116 yards. Rippon, 256 yards through the air in the 2 scores. Next week, the Skins host the Giants. The Cards will be in Denver. The Bears faced a familiar face in the Packers' Mike Tomczak. Tomczak giving the Packers a 10-3 lead in the second quarter, hitting Jackie Harris. Well, Ditka had to be impressed with his old QB. And with Brad Muster. Neil Anderson wasn't in the lineup, but Muster, the former Stanford great, makes it a 14-10 Bears lead. Jim Harbaugh, second half, to Wendell Davis. 35-yard score. Bears win it 27-13. Harbaugh, 2 touchdowns on the day. Mike Ditka's 100th regular season victory. Tomczak, great numbers, 22 of 39, 215 yards. Harbaugh, 16 of 25 for 209 and the 2 scores. Next week, the Bears will host the Bucks. The Pack will be hosting the Lions. The Bears were watching the Lions game with the Jets, and that's Jets defensive coach Pete Carroll saying, we got to stop the Sanders guy. Well, they didn't. Barry up the middle, a 51-yard jaunt. 14-0 Lions. The Jets would come back. It was 14-7, still in the first. Eric McMillan picks off Eric Kramer. Not only coming up with the INT, he did the dirty work, and he decides, well, I might as well take it back all the way. 14 all. Turnabout is fair play. Lions up 27-17 in the third. Brad Baxter fumbles the ball. Tracy Hayworth waltzes in from 28 yards. Tracy Hayworth. The Lions win it 34-20. Sanders 114 yards, 2 scores. But a costly victory for the Lions. Brad Baxter, the chop block on nose tackle Jerry Ball, left the game with a sprained knee. Ball spent the second half on the sidelines with Joe Dumars and Isaiah Thomas. Misery loves company. Barry Sanders said after the game it was the dirtiest game he's ever played in. Ball was yelling at Bruce Coslett, the Jets head coach, calling it dirty football. He says, I'm taking these game tapes right to the commissioner's office. They should not stand for this. 34-20 the final. Detroit registered its first 10-win season in 21 years. They're a step closer to their first playoff berth in 8 years. Next week, the Lions in Green Bay. The Jets will be hosting the Pats. While Barry Sanders gets most of the headlines, and rightfully so, that Detroit defense has definitely been part of the story. The past 3 weeks, in particular, they forced 5 turnovers on Sunday. They have averaged 4 sacks for the last 3 weeks, 3 interceptions, and nearly 3 fumbles. Bob?
Denver and Cleveland. They have co-authored some marvelous AFC history, but John Elway's writing arm was too sore to anticipate another chapter today, and the Cleveland Browns too anxious to stay alive to think that the mile-high Broncos could run a replay on the shores of Lake Erie. What with, well, Jim Brown, former Brown great, watching in urging some positive thinking as the present-day Browns pressure John Elway flushed out, and Cedric Figueroa is there. This would lead to a Kevin Mack touchdown, make it 7-0. Dan Reeves got his club's attention. They got the ball back. They drive down. Elway 30 yards to a diving Michael Young. We are 7-7. Let's go to the fourth quarter. Michael Dean Perry marked down for Christmas. Tie game. John Elway with 9 minutes to go. Vance Johnson on an 8-minute, 16-play drive. Elway 221 yards, 2 TDs, 17-7 as Denver clinches at least a wild card. Elway also had a 60-yard reception in the air to Steve Sewell. So much for the sore arm as the Bronco defense holds opponents under 21 for the 13th time in 14 games. Denver hosting the Cardinals next week. They close at San Diego. Only 20,000 in Foxborough to watch the Colts. 20,131. The smallest non-strike Patriots crowd. Rick Venturi, club up 7. Minute to go. Third and inches, I should say. And Dickerson stopped by Vincent Brown. Hugh Millen's got a chance. Fryer's hurt. McMurtry's hurt. Who does he throw to? Michael Timpson to the 2 with 9 seconds to go. No times out remaining. Millen to rookie Ben Coates, his first NFL touchdown. Let's go to overtime. Oh, these cardiac Patriots. 9 minutes into the OT. Millen to Michael Timpson, his first NFL touchdown. And Millen, who was sacked 8 times by the Colts, is sacked by his coach. The Pats win at 23-17. Millen 21 of 40. Timpson 3 receptions for 84 yards. Dickerson, by the way, did pass Lenny Moore by 1 yard to become the Colts' number 2 all-time rusher. Colts still alive for that number 1 draft pick. And the Pats, by the way, with that 5th victory of the year, now the entire team will split a $250,000 bonus. There could be more bonuses in the offing because they are one of the most improved teams in the league.
Do you like that bonus, though?
Why not? You need incentives out there.
If you're the Patriots, you do.
Not enough guys get money for performance. Some guys have a guarantee they're going to split. It's not a lot of money, $250,000 among 48 guys, but it's there.
At least it's a team bonus.
Right.
When SportsCenter returns, the Spurs look to return to their winning form. We will have highlights of San Antonio in Milwaukee.
First, let's go inside the numbers. The Centurymen on the ground. Ernest Biner for the 4th time this year, and for the 7th time this year each, Barry Sanders and Emmitt Smith. These are the 3 best rushers in the conference. Sanders leading Smith by 27 yards. Sanders now with 16 TDs and 13.55 in. Do not forget Herschel, who went over the century mark for the Vikings in our game Sunday night.
Now to the aerial shows. Only a couple of 300 shows. Jim Kelly, the AFC's number 1 passer, over 3,700 yards, 3 scores. The Patriots' Hugh Millen has thrown for 2,700 yards to go with 8 TDs, but also 5 INTs. And Vinny Testaverde, in the loss, 330 yards and 2 scores. Can't blame it on him.
Los playoffs. The NFC picture a little bit more clear 2 weeks to go. Skins clinched the home field through to the Super Bowl. Nobody else has clinched anything. Chicago would beat Detroit on a divisional tiebreak. Atlanta would beat New Orleans the same way. If the Lions and the NFC runner-up go, then one of those wild card teams would make it. Only one would make it, but look at that. The Vikes with the win tonight are still very much mathematically alive.
In the AFC playoff picture, the Bills and Oilers have clinched their respective divisions, while the Broncos have clinched at least a playoff spot. So have the Chiefs. The Raiders still on the outside looking in. Seattle, Cleveland, and Miami still with a chance to get in to the playoffs. Still to come, our Sunday night conversation with the Bills defensive lineman Bruce Smith. Plenty to say about on and off the field problems